Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, TV, streaming, and all sorts of good stuff. And joining us here on this Friday, congratulations, guys, to making it through to the end of another week. May you have a wonderful weekend of fun and relaxation planned ahead of you. And the guy who's just all about fun and relaxation, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing today, sir?
John, Mirth and Mayhem. That's my middle name.
Mirth and Mayhem. And sitting right beside him, not sure what his middle name is, but Ray Ora is here joining you guys in the live chat today. Ray, how you doing?
What's up? My middle name is Potter. Did you see that Harry Potter thing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Pretty good.
We're good, yeah. Anyway, guys, and it's just the three of us today again.
Just the three of us.
Just the three of us. Both Aaron and Chris are both on set today.
Working actresses.
That's the drawback of working with working actors. Chris has her thing. They're not doing the same thing. Aaron's off on the set of SWAT, the TV show SWAT. She's filming again there today. I can't remember. Is Chris shooting a commercial today? I can't remember.
I don't know.
I think she'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Chris is shooting a commercial today. But anyway, so it's just the three of us, and I'm sure we're going to have a great time, guys. It's good to have you here, and here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to break the show up into two parts. In the first half of the show, we're going to take some predetermined topics. Then in the second half of the show, we're going to go on and take your live comments and questions. If you'd like to get a live comment or question on the show, and you got about 30 seconds, if you'd like to get a live comment or question on the show for us to read after the main topics, just go ahead and use the super chat feature in the live chat. However, we do answer every question that gets sent in on the same show. But that's why we have to turn off super chats so early, is because you guys fill them up so fast. So I'm going to turn off super chats in about 20 seconds here. And that's what we're going to do. Also, guys, don't forget, we've got a YouTube version. We got a podcast version of the show that you can simply find on your favorite podcasting app of choice. It's called the John Campea Show Podcast. Go and get it for when you need an audio-only version. And don't forget, we also have a podcast feed for our Movie Club show that we now do, all just for that. Just search for Movie Club, a John Campea Show podcast, and you'll be good to go. And with that, I need to turn off super chats because we have an awful lot of them. And I got to turn these off because we have a lot of off the tops to do here today, guys. A lot of them. And we're going to start off with this first one, and that is this. You know, one of the more, I'll say it, one of the more pleasant surprise movies for me this year has been Scream. I am not, much to the chagrin of a lot of our viewers, I am not a big fan of the Scream series. I like the first one, like most people do. I like the first one. I think the first one's pretty good. I haven't liked any Scream film since, like not even remotely. And so it was with some speculation about, you know, what the things they were hinting at in the trailers gave us some speculation what this thing could be. And then it came time to go see the movie. And I went in pessimistic. I thought the trailers looked good, but I went in pessimistic. And Ray, you went with me. You, me, and I think Ryan came with us too. And we went to go see it. And I gotta say, I was quite pleasantly surprised by it. I had fun. Now, did it have some big logic problems? Yes. Like, wait a minute. If that person is this, how the hell did that make sense? Number of those logic problems, for sure, it did. But I would be lying if I didn't tell you I had fun. And I came out of it having had a good time, and it did pretty okay for itself at the box office as well. And, well, the studio took notice because they have not only greenlit another thing to come, they've got a release date already set for it for the new Scream movie. This comes to us from Deadline. See, I'll make this a bit bigger for you guys to see it. This comes to us from Deadline, who write the following. Paramount has dated a Spyglass Media's Scream sequel for March 31st, 2023. It's coming in 1 year. 1 year from now, we're going to get the sequel. March 31st, 2023, and it's untitled Bob Marley movie starring Kingsley Ben-Adir as the reggae legend for January 12th. The reboot of Scream, which opened over Martin Luther King weekend, has taken in $140 million at the global box office. Paramount and Spyglass promptly greenlit a sequel, with the whole creative gang returning, including directors Matt Bertinelli Olphin and Tyler Gillette, James Vanderbilt and Guy Busick co-writing the screenplay. The Project X Entertainment's Vanderbilt Paul Ningstein and William Chirac producing, with Kevin Williamson and Chad Vanella executive producing. So there you go. It's coming, and it's going to show up in 1 year. Now, look, a lot of times people will talk about, like, if there's a movie, they're doing a sequel in 2 years, people will go, oh my gosh, why are they rushing it? It's like 2 years is plenty of time. But 1 year, that's a little tight. I mean, I don't know what you think about that, Rob, but I think 1 year might be a little tight. I'm not surprised they're doing another one, because they made this movie for bus fare. And like I said, made over $140 million worldwide. It was generally positively received, including by me. And I'm glad they're doing another one. I'm going to go back to check it out. Yet another copycat killer, I'm sure, will don the mask again. But still, it could be fun. But I am a little surprised hearing it's coming that early. Rob, you hear about them doing another one. It's coming in 1 year. What are your thoughts?
Well, I guess they're riding a wave. Like Blumhouse can do. You make these movies for... I'm a complete advocate of what they're doing here, because they're not spending a ton of money. Say they spend $25 million, right? And what did you say they grossed? 140? Okay. I don't know if they spent $25 million on this latest Scream, but that's a nice, you're making some money there. In terms of, think about it. If the movie costs $100 million or $150 million.
Well, yeah, then they're in trouble.
You're in trouble, but you make it for 20. I don't understand why the studios are not making a series of movies at these lower budget levels they can release theatrically, get some good change on them, and then put them out on streaming. Again, John, we always talk about the value that is added to products. This was theatrically released, coming right out of the pandemic. People went and saw it. There's always a hunger for great horror movies, or at least entertaining horror movies, and this delivered. So it makes sense to me that they're not throwing good money after bad.
Yeah.
This is something they've established something, and clearly all this is going to do is bolster the market, because like you, like me, even I caught up with it recently. I liked it.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was fun, and logic problems.
Big logic problems.
But, as far as horror films go, I can't even believe I was watching another Scream movie. Like, why would anybody even go back to that town? Like, whatever, but it to me, it's good business to make this kind of a sequel, get it out while people have barely forgotten the movie they just saw. Why not cash in?
I certainly liked it more than that new horror movie, X. I was telling you before, I went to go watch X last night at the theater, and I went in kind of thinking the same way as I did with Scream. Like, I didn't have a lot of hope for it. I didn't really like the trailers. That's the same way I felt about X. But I came out of Scream, that was pretty good. I walked out of X. It's only like the sixth movie in my life I walked out on. Now, and because like a movie with a lot of gratuitous sex, nudity, and like hot people making a porn,
and you walked out.
That is a movie that was bringing the filthy. You'd think it would be meant for me. And after about 45 minutes to an hour, I thought, I cannot believe how boring this movie is. And I got up and left. I thought, I got better things I can be doing at home. So I left, right?
Wow.
And then I'm seeing it's got like, last I checked, it had like an 80% audience rating and like a 95% critic rating. So I was talking to Anna this morning. I said, I don't know, maybe I got to go back and watch the rest of it. But I'm just telling you, like the first hour, snooze fest. Other than some great porno, like the sex stuff they were doing was like great. But I mean, it was an unbearably boring movie for the first hour.
Wow.
But everybody's saying it's really good. So maybe I'm probably gonna have to at some point go back and watch the second half. But Scream actually delivered for me. It delivered some fun, and I had a good time.
That's all you
with
can ask for. Everything Always All at Once opens this weekend.
And Ann and I already have our tickets for that. Oh, believe we already have our tickets for that.
I'm dying.
I cannot wait to go see that.
It's getting good reviews. I didn't realize the guys who made Swiss Army Man made it.
Yeah. Swiss Army Man. I mean, I love the cast. You've got one of the girls in it. Like the girl who plays her daughter is Shang-Chi and Katie's friend in the bar, who tells them they got to grow up.
Right.
That's her. Of her husband, Michelle Yeoh's husband in it is Short Round from Indiana Jones.
And apparently it's an action movie as well, which I didn't realize.
Oh, yeah.
It's got a full-on action component.
You can't have Michelle Yeoh and not take advantage of her badassness.
I didn't realize.
Right?
I'm glad to see that. I want to see some Crouching Tiger, hidden multiverse action.
Here talking about Scream. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about Scream getting another sequel, and it's going to be coming in just 1 year. We'll see how that turns out. However you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and leave us your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's do another off the top here, shall we? And that is this. You know, it's not terribly often that in non-action or comic book movies, you get spin-off films. They've happened, but they're not common. Like, not at all. Once you move outside of the realm of like sci-fi, supernatural, comic book, very, very rare. But the 2007, my God, I still can't believe it was 2007. The 2007 comedy Knocked Up with Seth Rogen and Katherine Heigl. Pretty damn funny movie, actually. I like that movie a lot. But they had two characters in it, played by Paul Rudd, and what's Judd Apatow's wife's name again? I've had a crush on her since she was in George of the Jungle.
Mann.
Leslie Mann. They took those two characters from Knocked Up and they did a spin-off movie 10 years ago called This Is 40. This Is 40 was not nearly as good as Knocked Up. It certainly had its moments. It really did. It's a movie that has its moments, but overall, it's not a memorable film. Not exactly a great film at all. It had some moments, made me smile, and you can't help but love Leslie Mann and Paul Rudd. Even when they're in a bad movie, Leslie Mann and Paul Rudd on screen, together or separately, they're watchable. But whatever, This Is 40 came and went. Well, guess what, guys? Since nobody in the world was asking for a sequel to This Is 40, Judd Apatow said, I'm going to give the world This Is 50. And that is what's happening. Judd Apatow has announced that he is currently developing, and as he believes it's going to be his next movie, This Is 50, following up on The Same Family. By the way, the two girls that play their daughters, they're Judd Apatow and Leslie Mann's actual kids. And one of them is in Euphoria now, and one of them stars in that new movie coming out, The Bubble. So, like, they're actresses in their own right now. Anyway, this comes to us from our friends over at Joe Blow. In a recent interview with The Wrap to promote his upcoming Netflix film, The Bubble, writer, director, producer Judd Apatow revealed that he's developing a sequel to one of his most personal films, This Is 40. The title, well, what else could it be but This Is 50? As Apatow said in the interview, I've always wanted to make This Is 50, and it's time. Indeed, This Is 40 came out 10 years ago, so it would make sense for them to dig into the next chapter in the lives of Paul Rudd and Leslie Mann's Pete and Debbie. And that comes to us from the guys over at Joe Blow. I will say this. On its surface, I have no interest in This Is 50 just because I wasn't a big fan of This Is 40. But two things will get me interested in this movie. Number one is that it's Leslie Mann and Paul Rudd. I mean, I don't care what Paul Rudd's in. I'll watch it. And I don't care what Leslie Mann is in. I'll watch it. Let's get some fucking French toast. One of the greatest lines ever in the history of cinema. From This Is 40. Or 40-Year-Old Virgin. So I'll watch anything. And I will tell you that listening to Judd Apatow, because I read some more of his comments about really how personal this is. And he wants to write a story about his own experience, about getting older, growing up, having your kids growing up, the places, finding the humor and the fun in the realities of life and stuff like that. And listen, a lot of people forget, Rob, Paul Rudd is now 52 years old. He still looks like he did in, what was that teenage movie, Clueless?
Oh, yeah.
He still looks like he did in Clueless. The dude's 52. But I'll tell you what. I'm not going to say I'm excited for this movie. I'm not. But I am interested to see, what Judd Apatow has to say at this point in revisiting these characters. I don't know. What do you think about this?
Look, you know what? I enjoyed Judd Apatow's output. This Is 40 I thought was okay. I enjoyed it. I'll watch this. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see if this is a post-pandemic, where we're at now.
Right.
How what does it mean to be well, John, This Is 50. You should know something about that now. But what does all that mean? And where are we at now as a society? And having a comedic lens focused on that, even though it's an upper middle class comedic lens, it's or very upper middle class. It's still can be an interesting, insightful comedy. And I love the cast, like you. Why not? It could be good.
All right, guys.
He's a talented filmmaker, and I want to see The Bubble.
He's a super talented filmmaker. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I think most of us like Knocked Up. I think a good amount of us probably weren't all that thrilled with This Is 40. Are you invested in This Is 50? I'm at least curious about it. What do you guys think? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's do another off the top. We got a bunch of them here today.
A lot of them.
And
It's a good day, John.
It's a good day. And then off the
For
top,
you guys.
Ray's got a lot of work to do getting all the stuff done afterwards. All right. This off the top is this. One of the movies coming out this year that a lot of people are sleeping on, and we've talked about this a lot, is Avatar 2. It seems crazy that anybody on the planet with an ounce of common sense would sleep on Avatar 2. By the filmmaker who gave us 2 of the top 3 all-time biggest box office films in history, including the #1 box office film in history. And
2 of the greatest in Aliens and Terminator 2, and arguably
one
the
of the
Terminator.
greatest sci-fi filmmakers ever in history.
And True Lies, one of the great action filmmakers of all time.
Is James Cameron. And you'd think it would be, and of course the original film remains to this day the #1 all-time box office film in history.
But
And
John, it's Fern Gully and Dances with Wolves in
it's
Space.
Dances with Wolves in Space, and it kind of is, but that didn't change the fact that it got nominated for Best Picture. It's a very good movie, and is the #1 box office film of all time. It's folly to sleep on this. It is folly to sleep on Avatar. It is folly to sleep on James Cameron. Is this movie coming 7 years late? Yes, it absolutely is. No doubt about it. Should this movie have come out a long time ago? Yes, absolutely. Is this movie going to be a $2 billion movie like the last one was? I doubt it. But this thing's going to be big. It's going to be big and it's going to be huge. And now we're hearing some firsthand reports on the ground. Is Zoe Saldana, who of course right now can be seen with Ryan Reynolds in The Atom Project right now. And then we're going to be seeing her again in Guardians of the Galaxy again, coming up here pretty soon. Zoe Saldana was chatting a little bit about her experience, and she said this thing has brought her to tears. She said she was watched 20 minutes of the film, and it has already brought her to tears. This comes to us from the folks over at Variety, and they write the following. Get this. Zoe Saldana has a message for moviegoers ahead of the release of Avatar 2 this December. It's definitely a leap from the first Avatar, so you have to brace yourself for it. It's going to be an adventure you won't forget. James Cameron has spent well over a decade developing the sequel, a decade too long, developing the sequel to his record-breaking Avatar, which will once again star Saldana and Sam Worthington. This is what she goes on to say. I can get choked up just talking about it, Saldana told reporter Kevin McCarthy via People magazine about the Avatar sequel. I was able to see just 20 minutes of the second installment right before the year ended last year, and I was speechless. I was moved to tears. Now look, obviously, newsflash, actor in movie says their new movie is good. In other words, water wet. Of course, we understand
And in this
that.
version of Avatar, water is indeed
And
wet.
the water
John.
is definitely wet. In this world of water, it is definitely wet. So obviously, yes. However, Zoe Saldana has not been one to be prone to grand gestures of hyperbole like some actors are. And some actors are totally understandably do, because your job is to promote your movies. But she said a couple of interesting things there. One, she said that this one is a leap beyond the first Avatar. Avatar is the biggest film of all time. It was a cultural phenomenon. Like, what exactly does she mean by it is a leap beyond the first Avatar? Then phrases like, it has left me speechless. I start to cry just thinking about it. I watched it 20 minutes of it, and it moved me to tears. I mean, it's again, her exact quote is, I get choked up just talking about the movie. It is going to be an adventure you will not forget. And again, we say this all, Rob, with the understanding, actor in movie claims their movie is good. Wow. Never would have thought that would happen. But still, this is pretty big talk. I mean, these are high bars she's setting. Rob, you hear what Zoe Saldana is saying. What's your thought on Avatar 2 right now? It's finally getting closer, provided it doesn't get delayed for a 15th time. But it's in sight now. It's coming this December. What do you make of all this?
You know, a while back, I revisited the director's cut of The Abyss.
Oh, love that movie.
Which I have on DVD. They released it on DVD. It hasn't come out. James, where is The Abyss on 4K? But anyway, so that film is virtuoso. It came out in '88. Virtuoso filmmaking on display. And it's a taste. Obviously, it's set in an underwater oil drilling derrick. And there's a scene where Ed Harris has to take Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio out into the open ocean and transport her over into another pod. There's this dam. If you haven't seen it, this undersea, I don't want to ruin anything, but there's an incredibly emotional scene where a character may or may not have died. And there's real human emotion and pathos. And the way that Ed Harris and Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio played it, it's incredibly moving and it's incredibly engaging from an emotional standpoint. So people forget that James Cameron can elicit that kind of emotion as well. I don't doubt her. I mean, actor in movie thinks movie's good. But in terms of James Cameron, in terms of his milieu being he's clearly made documentaries. He's gone down to the bottom of the Marianas Trench. The guy loves the ocean. And I'm sure the perspective that we're going to get in this movie is going to be breathtaking. Absolutely breathtaking. There is no doubt in my mind that whatever he has dished up for Avatar 2, it's going to be exactly the way she says. I don't know if I'm going to cry in 20 minutes. It takes a little bit more. Spock has to die to get me to cry in a movie. Just saying. But I think it could happen.
I hesitate to ask, but I got to ask Ray. Did you see the first Avatar?
I don't know what Robin's talking about. Yes, I did. I saw it, I think 2 times. Just because, yes, even with the glasses off, I fell asleep. It was too somber. Like during times where I think I fell asleep when they were in that that pond where the guy and the girl were in that
I know the scene.
Purplish thing.
I think that's where the flowers were starting to bloom and things like that. Yeah.
So then I went back the next week and I went in late and finished it. And I thought as a 2-parter, it was okay. It was okay. I mean, it was a spectacle. I mean, I remember both times the theater was packed each time. So I just thought this would come sooner.
Do you have any excitement for an Avatar 2 right now? Like when you think Avatar 2, does it get your heart pounding or you're like,
No, not until maybe the week before it. Because who knows? It's going to get postponed again.
I know. I mean, but in all seriousness, all joking aside, this is a movie that I think broke 3 not just release dates, release years.
Yeah.
3 times it moved out of the year that it was going to come eventually. I think we're going to be able to tell a lot when the first trailer comes.
Yep.
I mean, that's when we're going to find out really. Because everybody can say right now, oh, Pasha. I mean, it's the cool thing to dismiss and crap on Avatar these days. That makes you a cool kid if you do. But the real test will come when that first trailer comes. Because we may see that first trailer and go, meh. Or we're going to see really what the public's reaction is going to be to it.
What this movie needs to do, if the special effects work, is if it terrifies me, because I'm terrified of the middle of the ocean. So if that water makes me sick, the effects of the water make me sick, then it's got to be really good. I don't know. I don't know how you feel about water or the ocean, but
I like it.
All right, guys.
You swim in the ocean?
Question is for you. What do you think about this? Zoe Saldana saying that this movie moves you to tears. It is a leap beyond the original Avatar. Where are you? Like, hey, listen, it's been a long time since that first movie came out. Maybe you've got no enthusiasm left at this point. Maybe you're dying to see it. Whatever you guys are thinking, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. We want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of this video, ExpressVPN. Now, guys, does it make sense that the same company who controls half the online retail also passively eavesdrops on your private conversations at home? Or what about the idea that a single company controls 90% of the internet searches, runs your email service, and gets to track everything you do on your smartphone? You guys know that big tech is more powerful than most countries are, and they profit by exploiting your personal data. It's time to put a layer of protection between your online activity and these tech juggernauts, and that's why I use ExpressVPN. You see, when you run ExpressVPN on your device, the software hides your IP address, something that big tech companies can use to personally identify you. So ExpressVPN makes your activity harder to trace and sell to advertisers. ExpressVPN also encrypts 100% of your internet data to keep you safe from hackers and eavesdroppers on your network. So stop handing over your personal data to the big tech monopoly that mines your activity and sells your information. Protect yourself with a VPN that I trust to keep me safe online. Visit expressvpn.com/Campea. That's expressvpn.com/Campea to get 3 extra months free. Go to expressvpn.com/Campea right now to learn more. And thank you to the folks at ExpressVPN for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Check out their link down in the description below. All right, guys. With all that down, let's do one more off the top. We told you it was a busy day. We got one more off the top to do today, and that is this. You know, I don't know if you guys heard, but it's been 20 years since a little franchise called Harry Potter movies started coming out. 20 years. I still can't believe it. I still remember going to see the original Harry Potter film. And while I myself am not a big Potterhead, I appreciate the Harry Potter movies, especially the last couple ones. Like the Deathly Hallows 1 and 2, I actually really quite enjoyed a lot. And you know what? Revisiting some of the older Potter movies lately is because my wife, Anne, major Potterhead. So she's had them on TV a little bit, and watching them with her again, like even some of the older ones, I'm like, you know what? These were really good. And of course, recently they had the big 20th anniversary special on HBO, which was fantastic. Even as a non-hardcore Harry Potter fan, I was like, that reunion special thing was wonderful, beautifully done. It was really excellent. And my wife Anne was in tears like 18 different times throughout the special of it. That being said, with all that momentum, some question marks started coming up about, well, there is a Harry Potter story called The Cursed Child. And I think it was Chris Columbus, who came out and said that he, one of the directors of the Potter franchise, says, I would actually like to make that movie, and I'd like to get the original cast back and make that movie. And that got some excitement going. Now, The Cursed Child, even amongst the Harry Potter faithful, isn't a really popular story. So maybe some people like something else, but it did get some enthusiasm going about maybe if the director's saying they'd like to do it, and they just did this 20th anniversary return, maybe this could happen. It's not going to happen because Daniel Radcliffe himself has just came out and said he has no interest in doing it. And this comes to us from the folks over at Coming Soon. They wrote the following. This is what he's saying. It comes from Daniel Radcliffe himself. He said this. This isn't the answer that anybody's going to want to hear when they ask him if he would go back and do Cursed Child. He says, this isn't the answer that anybody's going to want to hear, but I think I was so able to go back and enjoy it, the 20th anniversary special, because it's not a part of my day-to-day life anymore, Radcliffe said. I'm getting to a point where I feel like I made it out of Potter okay, and I'm really happy with where I am now. And to go back would be such a massive change in my life. Now, before you start worrying that means he'll never do Potter again, he does go on to say this. Despite that, Radcliffe isn't fully closing the door on Harry Potter just yet, revealing that he might be open to reprising the title role in the distant future, given that a significant amount of time had already passed since the Deathly Hallows film. I'm never going to say never, but the Star Wars guys had like 30 and 40 years before they went back. For me, it's only been 10. It's not something I'm really interested in doing right now. And that, of course, comes to us from Daniel Radcliffe. Okay. So I got a couple of thoughts on this. Thought number one is, I get it. This guy's entire life, up until 10 years ago, hell, even the last 10 years, has been all about and nothing but about Harry Potter. That's obviously a big blessing, but it's also, a little bit of a curse as well, right? So And for the last 10 years, he has been working very hard to try to get the right kinds of roles and to be seen in Hollywood as a legitimate actor and B, not just be seen as Harry Potter anymore. And that's a tough hill to climb, man. That is a tough hill to climb. I mean, I don't know that Mark Hamill was ever able to do it. I mean, obviously, Mark Hamill went on to do some other really great things. But when you say Mark Hamill, all you think is Luke Skywalker. That's not so bad. That's
Corvette Summer, dude. Come on now.
Or Guyver. Remember his Guyver movie?
Yep.
You remember Mark Hamill's Guyver movie?
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously he did some great things, particularly Joker and things like that. But he will always primarily, instantly, when you hear the name Mark Hamill, you will think Luke Skywalker. And I'm sure there's a million actors in the world who would love to have that problem. But still, right? And so Daniel Radcliffe is at a place where he's like, I'm fine. Like, he's getting some momentum going now. Like, he's in that new Channing Tatum, Sandra Bullock movie coming
the
up.
Lost City of...
The Lost, yeah.
He plays the villain. He looks like he's great
playing
in it, too.
the bad guy in it. He's done some great artistic films, Horns, Guns Akimbo, or Kimbo, I always mispronounce that. Obviously, Swiss Army Man. It's kind of a little bit of Robert Pattinson that he's done in his career as well, which is good. And to him, I get it. It kind of seems like if I went back and did Harry Potter now, any progress I have made over the last 10 years will be gone. And he's not wrong. He's right. It kind of would be. On the other hand, guys like Vin Diesel, who thought he wanted to go away from Fast and the Furious and away from Triple X, they realized, wow, the fans really did love me in that, and I did make a lot of money doing it, and they went back. Sylvester Stallone at one point said in his career that, yeah, I think I have moved on from the Rocky films and from Rambo films. That was a couple decades ago. Well, then he did Stop 'Em, Our Mom Will Shoot, and eventually he came back to those films, and the fans loved it, and he loved it, and he made money, and they're still making Rocky movies in the form of Creed. And for a Daniel Radcliffe, I would almost say this. Look, man, while it is a tough hill to climb, always being known as the one character and all that kind of stuff, there are actors who would kill to be in that position. And there are millions and millions and, dare I say, billions of Harry Potter fans that would love to see you return and would bring a lot of joy to the world. And by the way, make you and a lot of people a lot of money. That, I don't know, maybe he should consider it a little bit more. I say that fully acknowledging, though, what he said. I mean, and what a difficult choice it would be for him to kind of face. I think we will see him back as Harry Potter at some point, but it doesn't look like it's going to be anytime soon. Rob, you hear Daniel Radcliffe's words. He's in a position that not a lot of other actors have found themselves in, and what he's trying to carve out for himself here. What do you think about his comments, and what do you think he should do?
First of all, look, it would be the easy thing. He can always go back to Harry Potter. And I think if the Cursed Child was, some groundbreaking piece of work, it was done for the stage. It's its own thing. I can understand. He knows what it is. He knows what he's going to get into. It's been a theater production. It wouldn't be his, really, if that makes any sense. It was already done. If they came up with an excellent Harry Potter script, I think give it another 10 years, you could make an epic Harry Potter movie with the original cast.
Yeah.
If you wanted to. But you'd have to come up with something really, really great. I don't know what that is. But, nobody wants to be typecast for the rest of their lives. Creative people especially want to do other things. And he's become a really good actor. Like, I really enjoyed Horns, which is based on a Joe Hill, Stephen King's son's story. Guns Akimbo was a hell of a lot of fun. Swiss Army Man was also a lot of fun. And he plays an erection flagellating flatulating dead person. I mean, who would have thought Harry Potter would have played? That was about as far away from Harry Potter as you could get. And I think that he's making the right choice, especially, from that Sandra Bullock movie premiered at South by. So I haven't read any reviews of it yet. I did see a reviewer on on YouTube that had seen it and said it was quite good.
I've heard it's quite good. I've heard people are really liking it.
And I mean, with that talent involved, I mean, Brad Pitt, it looks hilarious. So I think he's doing the right thing.
And the other thing about this too might be the actual project itself, Cursed Child.
That's what
Because I would rather another story. Like just pick up Harry Potter, Harry, Hermione, Ron, 20 years later, 25 years later, and go from there. So that might be the other part of it, is that specifically they asked him about Cursed Child, and maybe he's just like, nah, because that's gotten some lukewarm reaction too. But I think 5 to 10 years. Like, I know he said like the Star Wars guys got 30 or 40. I don't think he's going to wait 30 or 40, but give him another 5 years. And I think we might say, by the way, I just want to put this out there. Ray, I don't know if you saw this, but yesterday they put out that Hogwarts Legacy, that first look, like it was a 20+ minute first look thing at the game.
That's what I was asking you in the beginning of the show, if you saw that.
I did.
What'd you think?
I really liked what I saw. Like it looked it looked like a little bit of a mix of World of Warcraft with some deeper role-playing game aspects to it, all kind of wrapped up into this very Potterish world. And Anne watched it with me, and she was like, when is that coming out? It doesn't come out till later, towards the end of the year. But I gotta say, it looked really good, and I think if it's as good as it looks, it could keep that Harry Potter fever going, and we'll see where they go.
I had two things run through my head. I was like, this is really cool, and I'm gonna die a lot in this game.
Oh yeah.
It looks super complicated because of all the things you could do. I really hate these types of games, but I play them. I just die a lot. So hopefully it won't frustrate me enough where I will quit the game, but we'll see.
Dude,
but it looks good.
You should see me trying to play God of War right now. Yeah, that's not a pretty sight. That is not a pretty sight, watching me trying to play God of War right now. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Daniel Radcliffe says, nah, I'm not ready to go back to Harry Potter at this point. Good idea, bad idea? Do you think we will see him at some point? What do you think he should do if you were his confidant and whispering advice to him? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With that down, let's now move on to our main topics here today. And how do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really simple. You guys come up with them. See, whenever you come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel we need to cover as a main topic on the show, just go anytime 24/7 over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to find a form. Fill it out with your topic or question, hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, let's get into main topic number 1.
Oh, boy.
I almost said, Chris, what is our first main topic today? But Chris is not here. She's on set, them working actors. And our first is this. It comes to us from Jared, who writes, hey, John and team. Hope you're doing well. I saw news that there was a report from Deadline that there is, and I'm not kidding, a Play-Doh movie in the works. Emily V. Gordon will write the script with John M. Chu set to produce and possibly direct. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, as the late great John Schnepp once said, I like shapes. Do you see them shaping this film into something worth watching? Thanks, and keep up the great work. All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. Okay. On its surface, the idea of they're going to do a Play-Doh movie sounds like a joke in a movie being made about people who make movies. He's doing a Play-Doh movie. What? Sounds ridiculous. But remember this. We live in a world where they made a Lego movie. And they made a Lego movie damn good. Really damn good. I've often said this before. I will say it many, many, many more times. You can make a movie about anything if you have the right story idea. Hence, that's where Felipe the Sentient Dancing Microphone comes from. I said, I could make this happened years ago. I said, man, you could make a movie about, and I looked around, I said, I don't know, this microphone. You could make a movie called Felipe the Sentient Dancing Microphone. If you've got the right story idea and the right person penning the script and the right director and the right support around it, you can make that movie really good. And the living proof of that is the Lego movie. So I am no longer going to dismiss a movie out of hand just because it's about something as basic as Play-Doh. There's literally a world of possibilities you could have there. Also, I want to point out something here. The thing that gives me some actual curiosity about this are the people making it. The people making it. Emily Gordon got an Academy Award nomination for the screenplay that she wrote with Kumail Nanjiani for The Big Sick. One of my favorite films of the last 15 years. The Big Sick is a wonderful, and it's their story. For those of you who don't know, if you watch The Big Sick, Emily V. Gordon, she is Kumail Nanjiani's real wife. And that movie was about Kumail Nanjiani and her. Now, she didn't star in the film with Kumail, but it's about her. She got Academy Award nomination, and her writing this? Okay, that's intriguing to me. And wait a second, you're going to add the director of Crazy Rich Asians and In the Heights? I love those movies. I absolutely love those movies. Crazy Rich Asians I watched that movie like 5 times, and I laugh harder every time I watch it. And In the Heights was a masterpiece. I knew nothing about In the Heights. I never listened to the album, didn't care anything about it. Ann and I got up when that movie was over and we danced in the aisles to the music playing in the credits. That's how much it moved us. So, okay, Play-Doh movie, dumb sounding idea. Emily Gordon and John M. Chu making it? All right, I'll give you the time of day. Count me as interested, Rob. Rob, you hear about this? Are you able to move beyond the, wow, what a ridiculous sounding idea this is? Or, I don't know, what are you thinking?
I actually was able to once ask one of the men responsible for getting the Lego movie franchise turned into a series of movies, why would you ever decide to do this? Like, what possessed you to, and he had a great answer. He said, well, I was playing the games. I was playing the Lego video games, and I saw that there were characters I was involved with, and the way you could use different franchises. But, Lego, they're people. You build towns and things like that. I could see that. And when he said that, it made perfect sense to me. I'm like, well, of course. What a genius idea to then go after the rights for Lego, and the rest is history. But Play-Doh. But, John, here's the thing. When I first, is this where we've come in our society to make a Play-Doh movie? But that said, if I apply this gentleman's same logic to Play-Doh, I almost said Playboy, to Play-Doh.
If we apply the same logic to Playboy.
But, with Play-Doh, you can make creatures and people and monsters and dinosaurs. And so I could imagine that you could do some, there's a Canadian animator, John, from the early, her name's Sally Cruikshank. And she made an animated film that I used to see played on Showtime in 1980 called Quasi and the Quackadero. I think that's the name of this movie.
I'm not familiar with it.
I haven't seen it in 40 years. Quasi and the Quackadero. Quasi. And
by the way, I just got to say, Waterwolf in the live chat was saying Playboy Dough. There you go. There's your crossover movie, Rob. Playboy Dough.
I mean, there you go. But if you had a story set in Play-Doh world, you could make the story almost anything. It could be a coming of age story, and the creatures, maybe they get sculpted by a child's imagination, and the child doesn't realize that they're actually creating a world that exists. You could do something that I have no idea what this movie is going to be about.
Right.
But I'm just seeing, my first impulse is to reject the idea of this and be like, come on, is this the world we live in? But applying that logic behind, well, once I saw that in a Lego movie or in the Lego video games, that's what made me go after the franchise. Somebody has an idea about this. Somebody came up with an idea and said, I'm sure the toy is it Hasbro?
It's Hasbro and E1.
Yeah, Hasbro's got E1. They're looking at whatever. Somebody probably threw out at Hasbro, what if we made a Play-Doh movie? Somebody came up with a pitch and said, here's how you make a Play-Doh movie. And it's interesting that one half of the people that made The Big Sick came up with this idea because it makes sense.
It's interesting you mentioned that because she does talk about that specifically. This comes just from the folks at Variety who write the following. In the latest toy-related movie news, Play-Doh is being molded, get it? Is being molded into an animated feature film from E1 and Hasbro. The prospective picture will be written by Oscar-nominated screenwriter Emily V. Gordon, with John M. Chu producing, with the potential to direct. The team looks forward to bringing the audience to a moldable, pliable, iconically scented story about the importance of imagination, Chu and Gordon stated. After news of the project broke, Gordon tweeted a brief explanation, writing, "John and I had a series of conversations about creativity, imagination, and the purpose of art that were so funny and juicy that I knew I had to do this." And Rob, that goes right back to what you were just saying, right? Like, the interesting thing about a Lego movie or a Play-Doh movie is that you literally can make this movie about anything you want. Mm-hmm. I mean, to use, a cliche, they're limited only by their imagination. You can make it about space. You can make a Play-Doh movie about ninjas fighting the moon and make it the favorite movie of all time of two guys in
Ray's
this
favorite
room.
movie.
Right. I mean, it can literally be about anything.
But and also, like, not too long ago, Fox Entertainment bought the rights to Gumby. I don't know if
I remember that, right?
It was not too long ago, so maybe we might have some clay wars, some dough wars going on. For me, I would rather have a movie with cookie dough, pizza dough, bread dough. That would be amazing to have all the food doughs in a movie.
We're going out to dinner tonight, so that maybe you're thinking about later.
No, I'm just saying, at least put dough I care about in the movie. No one could eat Play-Doh. Have you tried? I did.
I think every kid has tried.
It actually sucks.
Did.
Dude, every kid tries to eat Play-Doh.
There's a t-shirt, "At least make it about dough I care about." That's a quote that should go on the poster for the movie. But at least make it about dough I care
It
about.
is until you find out you can actually swallow paste.
If you're really good at doing the Play-Doh thing and you make like a slice of pizza, for some reason I get hungry. Why? How does that work? Why am I me?
All right, guys, question is for you.
Now I want to see a food dough movie.
Food dough movie. What do you think about this notion of a Play-Doh? Look, I think all of us initially think it's a dumb idea, but maybe there's some potential there. Do you think the creatives that are behind it gives you a little bit more hope for it? I don't know. What do you guys think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, jump on down in the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. Guys, we want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of this video, Policy Genius. Life insurance can give you peace of mind that if something happens to you, your loved ones would have a financial cushion for rent or mortgage payments, loans, education costs, and everyday expenses. Policy Genius is your one-stop shop to find and buy the insurance that you need. You can click in the description or head to policygenius.com/Campea and answer a few questions. In just a few minutes, you can compare personalized quotes from top companies to find your lowest price. You could save 50% or more on life insurance by comparing quotes with Policy Genius, because the team of licensed experts at Policy Genius will help you understand your options and apply for the policy that you choose. The Policy Genius team works for you, not for the insurance companies. You can trust them to offer unbiased help and advocate for you at every step until you're covered. And to make things even better, Policy Genius doesn't add on extra fees, they don't sell your info to third parties, and Policy Genius has thousands of 5-star reviews across Google and Trustpilot. So right now, head to policygenius.com/Campea to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. And thank you to Policy Genius for sponsoring this episode of The John Campea Show. Once again, check out their URL in the description of this video. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 2, shall we? And our second main topic today gets submitted to us by Cam. And Cam writes, "Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well. Either this year or next, Samuel L. Jackson will return as Nick Fury as he leads the Secret Invasion series. However, on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, which is pretty good by the way, Jackson revealed that he will also be appearing in the Marvels and Ant-Man Quantumania. This means that Fury will appear in 3 projects within a year and reminds me of his frequent presence throughout Phase 1 of the MCU. What do you think this indicates about Fury's future in the MCU? Thanks." All right, man. Thanks a lot for sending that in. And yeah, this was really interesting when I heard about this. Of course, we knew Samuel Jackson was coming in to be in Secret Invasion. We knew he had a big part in that. Then he started Instagramming out on set of the Marvels. And that makes sense when you understand his role in the first Captain Marvel film. Makes total sense. I didn't realize he was in Quantumania. Now, I think that news may have come out before, and I just forgot about it. I'm not 100% sure about that. But it's like, wow, we're going to get a lot of Nick Fury in a really short period of time. And they bring up, I think it was Cam wrote in there, Rob, that something I thought was interesting was, you know, for the beginning of the MCU, I mean, Nick Fury really was the connective tissue of the universe, right? And that was really obvious, and they made that very clear. Nick Fury is the connective tissue of everything. But as the MCU moved on, we started to get a big absence of Nick Fury. He would pop up here and there, like he would pop up in like an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that's not even in canon for the MCU. He would pop up there. Again, seeing him in Captain Marvel I thought was great, but he wasn't really playing that role anymore. Comes along in Spider-Man Far From Home, and that's great. But it sounds like they're really getting back to that original intention, because by having him appear, number one, in Far From Home, and then now we've got him coming in the Marvels, Secret Wars, Quantumania, and how big or small his role in Quantumania will be, I'm not really sure at this point. That's interesting. But what else was really interesting was he was shooting all three of them at the same time. This comes to us from the folks over at Coming Soon who write the following. Well, you know, it's kind of strange when someone tells you they're going to give you a 9-picture deal, Samuel Jackson said. You know, you go, how long am I going to have to stay alive to make 9 pictures? Because it used to take a while to make a movie. It still kind of does. But people make 2 or 3 of them at a time. In the Marvel Universe, it's crazy. Samuel Jackson went on to talk about the production schedule of many of Marvel Studios' upcoming films, including how he was recently in London and filming 3 projects: Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, The Marvels, and Disney Plus series Secret Invasion, all at the same time. Samuel Jackson went on to say, when I was in London just now, said Jackson, it was Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania and The Marvels was happening, and we were getting ready to do Secret Invasion. So it was like 3 Marvel movies on one lot. I was kind of running around from place to place. And that again comes to us from Coming Soon. That's insane. That is absolutely insane. Now, I've told this story before, but just let me highlight it here again quickly. When I got to be the MC for the Avengers Age of Ultron press day. So I had the whole cast. I was at the table with the whole cast and everything like that. But about 10 minutes before the event started, I'm hanging out backstage outside the door, and this golf cart comes up, and Kevin Feige's in the golf cart, and he gets up. So I'm like, Kevin, how you doing, man? And he's like, it's insane. Now, this is before there was Disney Plus shows. This was when Marvel was making like maybe 3 movies, 3 projects a year. And he looked frazzled and out of his mind. He goes, man, I was up all night going over script revisions of this. I just came from this big, long trailer Q&A review for the new Ant-Man movie, blah, blah. And he looked totally frazzled. How they're producing like 6, 7, and 8 projects a year, and how Kevin Feige is managing to keep a sanity, I do not know. But Rob, you've been on a set. Can you imagine trying to shoot 2 things at once, let alone 3? Now, granted, this isn't the whole thing, but if you're Samuel Jackson, he's literally, okay, we need Samuel Jackson on set right now. We can't. He's doing a shot for Quantumania. Well, when's he going to be free? In an hour. But then the Marvels people come in. Sorry, Secret Invasion. We got dibs on him in an hour. And you get this is the scheduling nightmare of that. You got one actor in one lot running back and forth between 3 high-profile projects. Sounds like absolute insanity to me. And something only Samuel Jackson can probably pull off. And at least he's playing the same character.
Yeah.
I mean, at least there's that. But Rob, let me ask you. Number one, what does it tell you about maybe how Marvel is viewing and is going to use Nick Fury right now and maybe moving forward, seeing him appearing in 3 high-profile projects right now? And then what do you think about this whole thing about him running around shooting all 3 of these projects at the same time? How do you take this?
Well, I think, first of all, you know, we talked about on the show how do the Avengers even exist? And, you know, at the end, the post-credit scene of Iron Man 1 is Nick Fury approaching Tony Stark for the first time. So I like this idea that with the Avengers in the state that they're in, they bring back the man who started it all and rely on him as kind of a new direction. Somebody's got to put the universe back together. Somebody's got to make sure that the heroes of Earth come together again the way they came together the first time. And I think this is I think it's great that they're coming back and bringing Sam Jackson and putting him front and center in these 3 movies. That said, though, if they're on the same lot, if they were shooting at Pinewood or Leavesden, wherever they're shooting, wherever Marvel is set up in England, because you're there, it's not, I don't think, as hard as you'd think, especially as you just pointed out that he's playing the same character. As long as they're scheduled properly, like he'll do 2 weeks on one movie, and then 2 weeks on another movie, and then 2 weeks on another movie, or even longer or shorter, depending on how I've not read the scripts. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they would schedule that, and that's what a great production manager, and that's what a great first AD, and that's what a great UPM UPM production manager does. And I think they probably John, these movies are they're finely tuned machines now. And I think that this, if anybody could pull something like this off pretty painlessly, it would be Marvel Studios, because they've got this stuff down to a T.
Well, you kind of have to. But I want to remind everybody, Samuel L. Jackson is 73 years old, which he comes across to me as nothing outside of his mid-50s.
Right.
Like, I mean, this guy's energy and power and everything he still brings all to his roles.
When you see him on talk shows, he's hilarious.
Oh, he's so funny, and he's blunt, and he's direct, and he's open. But again, this is a 73-year-old guy running in between sets, shooting 3 movies or 3 series and projects at the same time. I mean, it's pretty impressive. Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? With Samuel L. Jackson appearing in 3 upcoming projects, what does that tell you about how they're positioning this character, Nick Fury, for now and maybe in the future of the MCU? Does it tell you anything at all? What do you think about the idea that he was filming 3 things all at the same time on the same lot? That I think is just nutty. Anyway, guys, whatever your thoughts are, jump on down into the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. Okay, guys, with that down, let's move on to main topic number 3. And our third main topic today gets submitted to us by Box Office Fan. And Box Office Fan writes, Turning Red may have made $4,025,000 worldwide in theaters, but it was a huge hit on Disney Plus worldwide. It broke opening weekend views on Disney Plus in just 3 days. So Screen Rant is now asking, what is Lightyear's fate? With huge numbers for Turning Red, will Lightyear be moved to Disney Plus only? All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, listen, the new Pixar film, the new Disney Pixar film, Turning Red, is absolutely wonderful. It is such a joy. Like, I was interested in it because it was being made by the good Canadian girl who also made Bow, one of my favorite, if not my favorite short film that they've ever done. So I was obviously excited about it because it's got Canada as a background. It's based on an Asian family, and I've married it. So for me and my wife, I've of course married into an Asian family. Anne was all excited about it too. And it just looked adorable. And the movie did not disappoint. It's an absolute delight, an absolute charm. Damn, even Ray. We were driving in the car, and Ray spontaneously in the back seat of the car with Ryan and his mom in the back just starts singing songs from the movie. And Anne starts looking for the soundtrack on the stereo and everything like that. It's just that catchy. It's just that enjoyable.
Well, it's Billie Eilish and Phineas did the songs.
Well, it's also the score and the music and all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a delightful, it's a big win of a movie. Big win.
I caught it the other night with Elizabeth.
Oh, did you watch it
Yeah.
last? Well, I want to get your thoughts on it in a second here. So it's a big win of a movie. It was supposed to be theatrical. It was getting theatrical marketing and all that kind of stuff. Then they made the mind-numbingly stupid decision to move it over just to Disney Plus and rob audiences of having a theatrical experience with it. But it went over to Disney Plus for free. And according to the folks over at Disney, it became a record-setting thing for them. This comes to us from the folks over at Screen Rant who write the following. Nearly a week after the film first premiered, Disney has revealed that Turning Red has broken the Disney Plus global viewership opening record. They're not giving specific numbers, but the streaming platform determines this record based on the total number of hours watched in the first 3 days. The reveal that Turning Red has broken Disney Plus global viewership opening record should come as exciting news for those who fell in love with Pixar's latest, but also may not come as much of a surprise. While The Batman continues to dominate at the box office 2 weeks after its release, theaters have been devoid of any family-friendly movies since the new year kicked off, the closest thing being Channing Tatum's Dog, which I don't really know that that's a big family film either when you really look at it. So, yes, this movie comes out on Disney Plus that was going to be in theaters. Everybody's looking forward to this, and it sets the record, although Disney doesn't give any real numbers about that. And that's great. But as they said in the article, it's not surprising they did. But what does this mean about Lightyear's future? I don't think it means anything for Lightyear's future. Because here's the bottom line. I'm going to pull out my calculator here. And I'm going to, hold a second, let me bring up, I'm going to calculate with Pixar, with Turning Red, breaking the record for Disney Plus for viewership. I'm just going to calculate how much money that means that made for Disney. Hold a second here. It's going to carry the 0. It made $0 for Disney. We've talked about this before, and we've quoted the other streaming heads. They've said before, the streamers don't make money off people watching. They make money off of people signing up. And right now, Disney Plus's subscription rates have dropped. That's been we've talked about that. That story's been out there. Their subscription numbers have dropped. Not that they're losing subscribers, but their rate of adding subscribers has slowed down considerably, which caused Disney's market price to temporarily drop and all that kind of stuff. And now that Disney's looking at ways to, number one, maintain their viewers and get new. I still believe this wholeheartedly, Rob. And I've heard no valid argument against this. Had they released Turning Red in theaters first, number one, they would have made some money. But then number two, when they do then put it on Disney Plus after having a theatrical run, I submit to you, it would have generated more new subscribers with that theatrical movie that a bunch of people took their families to and fell in love with. We love that movie, and now it's on Disney Plus. Sign up for Disney Plus. I am telling you right now, this movie would have generated more new subscribers. Maybe not as many views,
Right.
but it would have generated more new subscribers for Disney Plus than just putting it out there, because that's great. That's great. It's the number one thing. This is the tweet that they put out. Thank you to all the fans around the world who embraced their panda and made Disney and Pixar's Turning Red the number one film premiere on Disney Plus. Well, and that's great. That's wonderful. All that means is that the people who are already subscribed to Disney Plus decided to watch it.
That's what we did.
And that's what we did. I've done several times. So, I mean, that's great. But ultimately, the reason I don't think this is going to affect Lightyear is because they know Lightyear is going to make money. And they know that after it makes money in theaters and people love it and they're talking about it, and then it's on Disney Plus, it's going to generate new subscribers and it's going to get that interest as well. So I think this is great for Turning Red. I think Domi Shi, I think is the director's name. I think this means more films we're going to get from her. You go Canada representation. We're going to get more films from her. It's good news all around for Disney, for the fans, for her. But at the end of the day, I don't think this means anything for Lightyear because this didn't make any money for Disney. And I think that's about, I don't know, Rob, how do you see this whole thing?
Well, first of all, obviously seeing this film, you have, it's a coming of age story for a young girl. It's also about families, moms and daughters. It's insane to me, John, that they didn't put this movie in theaters. In terms of whether it's counter programming or whatever, moms and daughters would have flocked to this film.
Especially since Screen Rant pointed out, there isn't anything in the theaters right now for families.
No, and they were promoting this as a theatrical release.
Yes.
There were trailers in the theaters. I mean, it was, again, a bungle. I think that we're now seeing a place, we're coming to a place in this quote-unquote streaming wars where it's shaking out. It's starting to shake out. And the streaming services cannot rely on their skyrocketing subscriptions because they're topping out. The subscription services are topping out, and they've got to, by putting, like you said, John, by putting this movie, they're touting a victory because, sure, it was going to be a theatrical movie. It doesn't surprise me. And probably the next theatrical movie that they put on Disney Plus instead of putting it in theaters will also probably be their biggest debut because it's a brand new movie. When was the last time a new Pixar movie dropped on Disney Plus? It's the very thing that you subscribe to Disney Plus for. So if you're a Disney Plus subscriber, of course you're there to watch Pixar movies. So why wouldn't everybody watch it? But like you pointed out, it doesn't really, let's see how many new subscribers they got. Probably not very many. And you can't rely on that anymore. So pulling what it was going to be a theatrical release, pulling it out, like you said, John, and we've said on the show, and I totally believe in, a theatrical release for a movie like this adds to its value. And by not having a theatrical release, you have diminished the overall value of this particular movie or any movie that should have been theatrical and wasn't. Especially this, because this movie would have made money.
I agree. I mean, I don't think it would have made as much money as like a Toy Story 3. This wasn't going to be $1 billion film.
No, but it might have been a $200 million movie or a $300 million movie worldwide because mothers and daughters would have gone. This is specifically targeted to young girls and young girls, girls moving into their teens, whatever, which is a huge audience. And mothers and daughters like to do stuff together. Fathers and daughters do too. Families. This could have made a lot of money.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why they did this. At least this is why I really believe they did this. I believe they did this was a response to the recognition that their new subscriber rates had dropped. And as a result, remember we talked about this, their stock dropped. I believe them putting this right on there, even though it has no substance, they could say, look, we got a brand new record holder for the most views on Disney. That's great. But when you dig below that, what does that actually mean for you? It didn't actually give you anything. Like, congratulations. Like, most views, great. And maybe they did that to look good to the shareholders, look good to the market, maybe boost up confidence in Disney Plus. But at the end of the day, what did it do for Disney Plus? Not a lot.
And I don't think it did a lot for Disney either. Disney is and not just Disney Plus, but Disney as a company. But you put this out, and then they can say to their shareholders, in 2022, we had this many movies, not just Marvel, but of course Pixar came in with Lightyear and Seeing Red, and they could have, who knows how many dollars they could have added to the coffers. I mean, this kind of thinking, everyone is reacting. This is reactionary, John. This is not being something that they're planning. They had this in theaters. It's the same thing with Warner Brothers putting out, here's our big comic book movies coming out in 2022. And then finally they react at the last minute for whatever reason. I feel like there's not a lot of planning happening. And this does not give me, as a shareholder, would this give you confidence? Like you pulled one of your valuable assets out of a theatrical experience, which could have made the company hundreds of millions of dollars, but didn't?
I know. And you know what the thing is? I don't want this to distract away from the fact that Turning Red is a wonderful movie. Wonderful, wonderful movie.
Yeah.
It is a big win for Disney as far as quality goes. It's a big win for Pixar. It is it's a big win for us as audiences. If you haven't watched Turning Red yet, you really should. It is a win. Go and check it out. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this story? What do you think the long-term meaning is? How do you think it affects Lightyear, if at all? Whatever your guys' thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. Okay, guys, with that down, let's move on to main topic number 4, shall we? And our fourth main topic today gets submitted to us by Argus, and Argus writes, I'm a Dungeons & Dragons enthusiast and have been DMing my home game for about 12 years, so I'm obviously very interested in the new movie. But I'm a little concerned about what Chris Pine just said about it, calling it a Game of Thrones mixed with Princess Bride kind of movie. I don't know about you, but when I think of D&D, I don't think Princess Bride, as great as it is. What do you think about this? All right, thanks a lot for sending this in, man. And yeah, you guys remember, a long time ago, they announced they're doing a new Dungeons & Dragons movie. The film's shot. It's all shot. It's coming out. And one of the big, news items that came out as a result of it was that they got Chris Pine to be in it. And actually a pretty good cast all the way around. But the Chris Pine thing was a bit of a win for them to do that. It was kind of a big coup. So they've been shooting it. And look, obviously they made a Dungeons and Dragons movie before. And I think it's fair to say it was awful. I mean, all film is subjective. And, every movie has somebody that likes it and some people that don't. And I'm sure there are some fans out there of the original Dungeons and Dragons movie. But I think it's safe to say that for the most of us, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. And so the idea of them returning again seemed like why, but also a possibility for redemption. And then Chris Pine comes out and says that this movie's like Lord of the Rings and Princess Bride. And it's like, really? Anyway, this is what he had to say about this, all right? This comes to us from Sci-Fi Wire. We had a hell of a lot of fun making it, Pine said. There was a lot of laughs. The way that I've been describing it, it's like Game of Thrones mixed with a little Princess Bride. Just a smudge of Holy Grail, and somewhere in that ballpark, it's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of thrills. It's poppy. It's 80s heartfelt. There's a bit of Goonies in there. Really? My character, he's the ultimate party planner. I think it's going to be really good. I mean, who effing knows? But I think we got a shot, and John are killer guys. They know comedy and they know heart, and we had a great cast, and we had a good time making it, and that's all you can ask for. That came to us from Chris Pine and the good folks at Sci-Fi Wire. All right. I will be the first to admit that I'm not looking for Goonies in a new Dungeons and Dragons movie. I want an awesome, epic, fantasy, hardcore adventure. You know me, Princess Bride, I think, is one of the most tremendous, wonderful, most beloved movies ever made in history. But I'm not looking for Princess Bride in a Dungeons and Dragons movie. Like when he says that we have, what was the other one he said with a little hint of the Princess Bride? Oh, a smidge of Holy Grail. Really? Spoof slapstick comedy? Really? Now when he says Game of Thrones, yes, that's what I'm looking for. What I want is, I want Game of Thrones meets Braveheart. That's what I want. I want the Game of Thrones intrigue and drama, and I want Braveheart level massive battles and all that kind of stuff. And so when I hear him say Holy Grail and Goonies and Princess Bride, I instantly start going, oh no, this is starting to feel like that other Dungeons and Dragons. But then I have to remind myself of something. If you had described to me the Critical Role animated show, which I now forget what the name of it is. I just finished watching it.
Vox Machina.
Vox Machina. If you had described Vox Machina to me, I'm not sure you wouldn't have said a little bit of Holy Grail. I'm not sure you wouldn't have said a little bit of Goonies. I'm not sure you would have said that. And guess what? I freaking loved Vox Machina. I thought it was great. I didn't have a lot of hope for it. I was very skeptical of it. I didn't have high expectations. I like the Critical Role guys, but I thought it was just going to be silly and whatever. They raised a lot of money on Kickstarter, but this is kind of going to be a way. I loved it. Not as much as Harley Quinn, granted, but I loved Vox Machina. So I got to check myself a little bit because, yeah, Rob, my first reaction to hearing this is, but they did just kind of give us that in Vox Machina, and I really did enjoy it. So I'm a little bit torn right now. Rob, you hear this. Where's your expectations right now for Dungeons & Dragons, and what do you think of Chris Pine's comments?
Well, it's funny to me because I'm always about tone, especially when it comes to fantasy, science fiction, genre material. You got to pick a tone. And I'm always wary of things that are wildly tonally divergent within whatever it is. And, to me, the whole idea of Dungeons & Dragons has a little humor in it. It's called Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
It's so, and when you play Dungeons and Dragons, yeah, there's people that get really, really serious about it, but it's fun. When you're playing it, it's fun, especially when you're playing with a group of people. And it's not like, we're not watching Ned Stark get his head cut off. It's more fun than that. So I think that if they've chosen a tone to me, it sounds to me like it could have, when they say Goonies, again, I don't know why I keep thinking this, but if it's an 80s thing, more of a Last Starfighter, the Goonies where you got a group of friends, kind of, I could see, I kind of understand where they're going. The problem is I want still the tone, I want there to be a little bit of seriousness in it. I hope they create a world and stick to that world. And if it's more amusing than most, like Vox Machina, I don't want it to start out like Game of Thrones and then turn into Holy Grail.
Right.
I don't think that entirely works. But you can have you can still make a sword and sorcery epic and still have humor and amusement in it. And the adventures can be kind of funny, I guess. But the tone that he's describing is a difficult one for me to buy into. I hope it works.
Ray, you play in our D&D group. What was your guys? You were half orc, right?
Yeah, no, I was just a pure barbarian ogre.
Oh,
guy.
an ogre. That's what it was,
Yeah.
right? Barbarian ogre. Ray is. By the way, I'm just gonna throw this. Ray is a lot of fun to play Dungeons and Dragons with. I'm just gonna throw that.
I changed that story so much.
You do.
I do.
Very
My
much.
ideas are very
Disruptive to the game.
to even the dungeon master. He's like, you ruined my game.
Yeah, Anna's like, okay, fine, but it was always fun. But listen, you got any excitement for this movie? Hearing about this?
This movie will work for me, and I know it's gonna sound like Lord of the Rings, kind of like, but this movie will work for me no matter if it's comedy or whatever. If the effects are good, like the monsters that they run into. And there's got to be some hack and slash in there. Like in the dungeons, I want skeletons coming out of nowhere, scaring me. I want all that. I want each class or race of the group to actually show. And I want them to each have their own personality so I could attach myself to one of them. I want the group aspect of this movie to really hit home with me. Because that's all that's important.
Yeah.
Back to back, everything.
Yeah, if it's a quest movie, and you got a diverse, when I say diverse, a different, like orcs, elves,
different personalities,
thieves. All different kinds of people. You throw these disparate entities together to go out on a quest. That is inherently kind of fun.
Yeah, no matter
what. But you got to make, that's the key though, what Ray's saying, you got to make, if you can make that core group of characters, because that's the thing that makes Vox Machina work, I think, is that this core group of characters, you like the characters and you like the dynamic between them. If this movie can do that, it can succeed. If it doesn't do that, doesn't matter how good the visual effects are. It won't matter.
I completely agree with you. And it's also, the tone has to be right. You can't jump from Game of Thrones to Princess Bride to Holy Grail. You've got to, it's all got to work together. And I think if look, Chris Pine's not stupid. But then he does say, I don't know if it's going to work, but it was fun to make.
Yeah, he did say, he goes like, who effing knows? I don't know.
It could be.
I think we got something good here. Apparently did have
actor says project is good. Film at 11.
But I mean, we'll say this too. There have been a number of leaked set photos on set from them. I've seen at least a dozen of them. And I will say that every single one of them that I see, Chris Pine looks like he's having a blast. Like, it's always these behind the scenes things. And every image I've seen that's been leaked out of there from behind the scene, every single time he's looked like he's been having the time of his life. Well, that's a good thing.
I think the movie's not great, but Willow, Ron Howard's Willow.
Oh yeah, of course.
I really liked Val Kilmer's Mad Mardigan.
Mad Mardigan.
I mean, and Willow, I don't think quite got the balance right. But if it's kind of along those lines, but maybe a little harder edged with a little bit more, the comedy's a little bit more for adults, say, it could work.
A little more gory.
Like Vox Machina.
Looking at that set picture, I'm scared that there is not going to be a huge barbarian ogre as a part of the team. It kind of looks like they might be all just humans, which would really be crappy, I think. I don't know. We'll see. We'll wait for the first trailer, but I hope there's other races other than human.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this and Chris Pine's comments that the new D&D movie, which, by the way, I myself am personally very much looking forward to, is a little bit of a Game of Thrones and Princess Bride and Goonies and Holy Grail? At first, it's kind of off-putting to me, but then I think about Vox Machina. Maybe you guys haven't seen Vox Machina. You should. And I think, well, wait a minute, maybe it could work. So I don't know. I'm very curious. I don't know what to think. What are you guys thinking right now? Jump down into the comment section below. and leave your thoughts there. We want to take a minute and thank the sponsors of this video, Liquid IV. Now listen, just one stick of Liquid IV added to 16 ounces of water will hydrate you faster and more efficiently than just water alone. It contains 5 essential vitamins like B3, B5, B6, B12, and of course vitamin C with 3 times the electrolytes as traditional sports drinks. And what makes Liquid IV so effective is the science of cellular transport technology, or CTT. You see, it's designed to enhance rapid absorption of water and other key ingredients into your bloodstream faster and more efficiently. You know, Ann and I get up pretty early in the morning to go to the gym because we can't go to the gym at any other time during the day. And for the last couple of weeks, I have been drinking 1 full glass of water with Liquid IV. And all I can tell you is you can feel the difference during the workout. So go and grab Liquid IV in bulk nationwide at Costco, or you can get 25% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use the code Campea at checkout. That's 25% off anything you order when you use the promo code Campea, that's Campea, at liquidiv.com. Experience better hydration today when you go to liquidiv.com, and remember, use the promo code at checkout, Campea. And a big thanks to the folks at Liquid IV for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Okay, guys, with that down, let's get on to main topic number 5. And our 5th main topic today gets submitted to us by Alton Wang. And Alton Wang writes, even with all the drama with Twilight Boy, if part of the DCU, it is official that the Batman has exceeded $500 million in box office worldwide in less than 2 weeks. With an 85% critic rating, 88% audience on Rotten Tomatoes, and the Oscar rumors, does this prove that the Batman did not need to be R to be good? All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, listen, going in, for those of you who may not remember, going into the Batman, Rob and I, and we on the show, we were cautiously optimistic about what the box office potential of it was. Because we said, there's a lot of reasons why it's going to make money, but, and we said this for months, there's a number of factors you got to keep in mind, but what's going to hold it back a bit. Number one is the fact that the DCU and even the Batman's character right now is kind of a mixed bag with audiences. It's not, people have a little bit of a bad taste in their mouth, even though I have really liked the Batman we've been having. For some people, the whole state of the DCU has left a little bit of a bad taste in some people's mouths. You add on top of that the whole Robert Pattinson Twilight Boy group of people out there who only ever knew Robert Pattinson from Twilight and therefore thought it was ridiculous that he got cast as Batman. So there was that. That was a huge part of it as well. You add on top of that we are still indeed in pandemic recovery. And while some people may say, well, Spider-Man No Way Home proved that's not a thing anymore. No. Spider-Man No Way Home was a radical exception. All the other films kind of prove it's still a factor. I mean, the Variety article said that 25% of average moviegoers who were regular moviegoers prior to the pandemic have still not gone back to the movie theaters yet. Spider-Man No Way Home got a lot of them back, but there's still a lot of them that don't. So that was working against it. Also working against was the fact that there's a bit of confusion about Batman right now because of we have multiple Batmen running around. It's like, wait a minute, is this the Ben Affleck Batman? Isn't he in the Avengers? Some people, isn't this Batman in the Avengers? It's Justice League, Mom. Yeah, whatever. And we got Michael Keaton's Batman coming. Wait a second, I thought I heard big news that Michael Keaton was Batman now. Oh, no. I heard that Ben Affleck was coming back to be Batman. Well, of course, Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton are coming back to be in The Flash. And so you take all those things, that's a lot of hurdles. And so while we all believe Batman's going to make money, you just got to be, realistic that there's also going to be some things that's going to keep it from reaching its full potential. Well, after less than 2 weeks, this movie's already crossed $100 billion or $500 million worldwide. This comes from the folks at comicbook.com who write, the Batman is already on its way to catching up to Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice and Joker, but has already surpassed Batman Begins and the Tim Burton Joel Schumacher films. That it seems entirely reasonable that the Batman will go on to outgross the likes of Man of Steel, Aquaman, and Suicide Squad at the domestic box office as well. The real challenge will be if it can catch 2017's Wonder Woman, which brought in an impressive $412 million in the US alone. Two movies that the Batman will have trouble catching, however, are The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, which brought in 533.7 and 448 million at the domestic box office, respectively. That, of course, comes to us from comicbook.com. Now, look, we've already known that this movie is the biggest film of the year and the second biggest film since 2019. The only film that has outgrossed it is Spider-Man No Way Home, which had 1,000 advantages going for it over a movie like The Dark Knight. And when you consider how dark this movie is and how dark they advertised it, that this was not really something that was going to appeal. This wasn't a movie, nor was its marketing, saying, hey, families, come and see this movie. That's not what the marketing this did. This showed off car wrecks and explosions and nightmarish images and stuff like that. On top of all the other hurdles we talked about before, the fact that this thing opened as big as it did was impressive. The fact that it's made over 500 worldwide already is also quite impressive. Now, you are going to get people with agendas that are going to try to create this fantasy narrative out there. Well, if it didn't make 800 million already, it's a flop. All that kind of stuff. And some people well-meaning, because some people have it in their mindset, any comic book movie makes $1 billion, which we obviously know is not true. But also aren't taking advantage of all the hurdles this film had to overcome. Listen, make no mistake about it. This movie making 500 million at this point, not even 2 weeks into its run, is a fantastic result for this film. When you consider all the moving pieces and everything that goes into what this movie is and what has made it what it is, make no mistake, and anybody who tries to tell you otherwise has an agenda. They're coming with it with a predetermined agenda to want to paint this thing as a failure. This thing has been a great success so far. And kudos to them, And, I'm still a little bit mad at Warner Brothers for pulling down my one video simply because we talked about one of the things. F you, Warner Brothers, for doing that. But aside from that,
they made it right.
They made it right. They got it right after I threw a little bit of a tantrum on Twitter, but they made it right. But still, I think this is a big win, Rob. This thing, what are we at? Day 12 of its release? Day 11 of its release? It's crossed $500 million for what it is. Win, not a win? What do you think has gone into making it as big or not as big as it is right now? How are you seeing this?
Well, I would like you. I think the film is both creatively and with audiences has been successful. I think that nowadays everyone throws or bandies about the $1 billion numbers as if that's the end all be all. You're coming off of obviously a superhero movie with Spider-Man No Way Home that you can compare this to. Which you shouldn't, because they're really, just because they have superheroes in them doesn't mean they're the same at all, really. I think it is a big success. I think audiences like the film. I think more importantly, the filmmakers succeeded in absolutely making the film they wanted to make. It is connecting with audiences. And I see this, I think it's going to make more money this weekend. It's probably going to be number one again. And it's going to continue to make more cash across the world. So, it is a success. Now, if you're going to say, well, it didn't make Spider-Man No Way Home money, well, that's true. But how many movies in the history of movies have? What, two, three?
Yeah, none except 2 or 3.
Yeah, so it's like you don't even talk that way. This is rebooting the Batman franchise again. And I would look more back at Batman Begins and compare and contrast with that. And maybe if you want to adjust for inflation, okay. And based on production budget, those are things we can talk about. But other than that, I think it's a success.
I want to point out something else here too. Let's see. I want to bring up these numbers here. For some people who just can't wrap their heads around and understand the basic scenario of what we're dealing with here, about understanding the multiple reboot factor, about understanding the whole thing. Robert Pattinson is Batman, backlash, the whole part about the confusion of it, the whole part about this was clearly not a family film and all this kind of stuff. I want to point something out and remind everybody about something. And that is this, is that in just 11 days, because I see some people actually going, well, wait a minute, this isn't all that good for a Batman movie. Really? Really? because there was a Batman and Superman movie that came out. And this is going to catch that domestically. It's going to catch that within the next couple of days. This Batman movie is going to do better than a Batman and Superman together movie pre-pandemic.
That costs twice as much.
That cost twice as much for them to make. So yeah, I'm sorry, but if you don't look at this and recognize that this is a win, especially considering all the things that it had going against it, unlike, say, a Spider-Man No Way Home, which had a lot of things going for it and was targeting kind of a different audience. I mean, that one was going, families, come on in and watch Spider-Man No Way Home. This movie was not. And you got 3 other Batmen. You got the whole thing. If you don't recognize that this I don't know what to tell you. Like, I simply don't know how to help you if you don't recognize this for what it is. And by the way, it's not like we're talking like, even if this was the final tally, even if it was done, the box office run for the Batman was done, it made $505 million. All right. Hey, considering all the things working against it, great. But it's not done. This thing's going to hit $750, $800 million. It's going to easily eclipse domestically what Batman versus Superman made. It's easily eclipsed what Batman Begins made. It's going to, I mean, it's going to get close to what like movies like The Dark Knight made when Batman was the most popular thing and the hottest thing in the world. So yeah, this is a win. And I don't think it could have been done any better. But that's just my kind of take on it.
But
Question is for
right.
you. What's that?
You're right.
Yeah. Question is for you guys. What do you think about this? The Batman in less than 2 weeks has crossed $500 million despite all the things that were working against it. Maybe you don't think that's great. Maybe you think it's fantastic. Maybe you think it's better than we think it is. Whatever your guys' thoughts are, jump down into the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. Okay, guys. With that all down, let's move over now and start taking your live comments and questions that you guys sent in as we began this show. And we're going to start things off here with Cam K. And Cam K writes, one of 7? Oh, God, I'm going to have to bounce all over the place trying to find these. A year now since I started watching, John. Oh, good to have you here, Cam. So here's my story of how I became a regular everyday fan. WandaVision was airing, and I was watching theories and whatnot on YouTube. First time I really started getting into that, I came across John's channel and thought he was crazy for thinking that Mephisto is not in it. His personality was very drawing and engaging, so I stuck around with this crazy guy. I told myself that if this man is correct, he's gained a new fan in me. Lo and behold, John was right, and I stuck around and have been watching him ever since. It's a very shallow reason to stay or not stay, but I'm glad I stayed because I've come to enjoy him. Movies and the movie community is so much more. It's become bigger than WandaVision, Mephisto, and Marvel for me now. So thank you, John. And thank you, Mephisto, for not showing up. And that comes just from Cam K. Well, listen, Cam, thank you so much for being here and being this. Yeah, right?
I got to say, Cam K, he's the one that sent us or me the photo of the shield showing
showing the
Captain Carter
Carter shield in it?
Yeah, he's the one that actually pointed that out, and I sent it to you. So thank you, Cam K.
Nice. Well, first of all, Cam, listen, in as much as how many people we have that are always writing and saying, I've been watching you since the Man of Steel review. It's still crazy. I still hear from people who say that I first found you in the Man of Steel review. But it's always cool to hear from the people who are like more recently jumped on board. Cam, thanks so much for doing that. And thank you for writing that in and telling me the story. And thanks for sending Ray that Captain Carter image as well. So I appreciate it. And how great was WandaVision? We're glad you're here. Now, we hope you're here for a long time, man. Thanks again for that. All right. Next up, we got Sidious Swift who writes, if you want the ultimate, you got to be willing to pay the ultimate price. It's not tragic to die doing what you love. I don't recognize it. I don't recognize the quote. Let me read it again. If you want the ultimate, you got to be willing to pay the ultimate price. It's not tragic to die doing what you love. I think it's something recent. And you guys in the live chat know the quote?
Sounds like something recent.
Like Fast and Furious or something. I don't, but
it does sound like it would be from Fast and Furious. I don't know.
Keep an eye on the chat, see if someone comes up with it.
Right. Okay. Some people, Waterwolf is saying it's Rocky Creed.
No,
Now Crash is saying it's Point Break. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Maybe
next
it is
up.
Point Break. That sounds something like Bodie
It sounds
would say.
like it does sound like something Brody would say. All right, Bodie would say. All right, Seconds from Disaster writes, "Hey, Campea family, today's my daughter's second birthday. Happy birthday to her. Crazy how fast time flies. My girlfriend and I also have a son coming at the end of June. I can't wait." Oh, that's awesome, dude. Congratulations. That you, first of all, you've got your daughter, you've got your second coming. Congratulations on that, man. And may you raise them to be big film fans. Get them started on Star Wars early. Just
Yeah, but
saying.
have them watch them in release order, not episode order.
Yeah. Actually, just tell them that there's Star Wars Empire Return of the Jedi and don't let them know about anything else.
It was Point Break.
It was Point Break.
Yeah.
Thank you for pointing that out. All right. Next up, we got Robert Tari, who writes, "Brad Bird is setting up his next animated film at Skydance. It's the first time in almost 20 years he hasn't partnered with Pixar. And it's sad, and I feel like it may have to do with how Chapek has been treating Pixar. Is this the first of future creative partnerships, jumping ships? Thoughts?" Well, I mean, here's the thing, Robert. You got to remember, there are a couple of things at play here. Number one, talent works with multiple studios. Often.
He said Brad Bird, right?
Yeah.
Well, he directed Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol that was financed by Skydance at Paramount.
Yeah, so there you go. So he's already had a connection there. Actors, directors, writers, they work with multiple places all the time. Now, Brad Bird has traditionally been seen a little bit more ingrained with them. But yeah, so it's not a big, it doesn't necessarily mean he's moving or that he's not going to work with Pixar again. Secondly, I believe the guy who's the head of Skydance Animation, I believe is John Lasseter now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so.
And clearly Brad Bird has a long relationship with John Lasseter. So there's that. And the third thing is maybe, Rob, I mean, we know, you and I know for a fact that there's a lot of unhappy people at Pixar over the way their projects have been managed. And we've talked that there, at some point, there could be a creative exodus. Maybe. This could have something to, what do you think about the Brad Bird situation?
No, I think, look, like you pointed out, I mean, Brad Bird made a very successful feature film as part of a franchise with Skydance and Paramount. So maybe he has a project that he knew that Pixar wouldn't make anyway. You know, something, maybe it's a passion project of his, or maybe it's something that he once pitched at Pixar and Pixar said no for whatever reason and went to a place that wants to make it. I wouldn't read anything more. I wouldn't be surprised if he made something there and then went back to Pixar and made something at Pixar.
Yeah, and that's when we'll really know. Does he ever go back? And
I mean, I don't really think it means necessarily anything because Pixar had nothing to do with Mission Impossible.
Right. He's worked with other places before. All right. Next up, we've got Al Renshaw, who writes, "The success of Turning Red makes me worried that Chapek might move Lightyear to Disney Plus. He better not." Again, I think he knows they didn't make any money with the move.
Right.
And actually, they lost out by doing it that way. They needed a quick pop that they could present to the shareholders. Look, look at the big success. We'll see. But I don't think they're going to move Lightyear.
Look,
I really hope they
I
don't.
also think that if you look at the target audience for Seeing Red and Lightyear, I think Lightyear has a broader audience demographic in the theater. So I think they see it as a big tentpole summer film, and that it's just going to have a broader audience appeal. So I don't think it's going to move to Disney Plus.
All right, next up, Galactic Champ writes, 102, my favorite Marvel character is Reed Richards. If the rumors are true of J.K. portraying him, I will be so excited. However, the other rumor, it was J.K. He's talking about John Krasinski. The other rumor of Wanda killing Illuminati, also true. Forgive me for the person I become for killing my Jim. Hopefully a Kang solution where MCU variant looks same. I have no idea what he's saying. Unless he's saying he loves the idea that John Krasinski will be there. But if Wanda kills the Illuminati, does that end it? Now, yeah. There are certain things we know about, that we in this room know about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, so we won't touch on anything there. What I will tell you about is I do not know what the future of John Krasinski is in the MCU. I have no idea what that is.
And we don't know what happens at the end of Doctor Strange either.
And we don't know what happens at the very end. That said, I have heard reports suggesting that Krasinski may very well be in Doctor Strange 2 in the Multiverse of Madness, but that would be it. He wouldn't be that moving forward. Now, I'm not reporting that. I'm not telling you that's what it is. I'm just saying those are some whispers that I've heard. So,
But half of Hollywood, you know, I heard that there's even people coming back from the grave that they're digitally recreating and putting in that movie. I haven't heard that. But I'm just making that up. But I mean, there's so many rumors about this movie. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised, you know, if Russell Brand comes back and plays Aldous Snow, the rock star from Forgetting Sarah Marshall. If he shows up in the Multiverse of Madness, it wouldn't surprise me.
Everybody's coming. All right, next up, Andy writes, Batman beats up a lot of people in the Batman. He does. Too bad none of their moms' names were Martha. Again, I'm over the Martha thing. By the way, I made a video many years ago, basically called Defending the Martha Scene. The problem is everybody misunderstands the Martha scene. Everybody misunderstands it about what was actually happening there. Batman wasn't suddenly going, wait a minute, you've got a mom named Martha too? Well, golly, like that's not what that scene was. Now, that being said, while I believe that most people just misunderstood the scene, the fault for people misunderstanding it was Zack Snyder, because it is presented in a way that was easily misunderstood. And it did come across that way. But again, go back and find my old thing called Defending the Martha Scene. It's a editorial video I made some years ago, but I defend that scene. I really do. All right, next up. Casey Mack writes, just got my tickets for a fan screening at AMC for Sonic 2 on April 6th, 2 days before its premiere. I got to see if I can find that. Ray, jump on AMC's website and see if there might still be tickets for that at the Tyler, because I know Ann and I are both very excited to see it. All right, thank you for letting me.
Again?
For April 6th, for a Sonic 2 special advanced fan screening. See if you can find that. All right, next up. Seconds for Disaster writes, when you showed the clip of Mailbag during the live stream yesterday, you should have showed us the gummy bear clip, priceless. And Rob said that was real. I didn't see the gummy bear clip myself. I didn't see that part of it.
Okay, so I love Haribo gummy bears. I always have since I was a little kid. And I love them. They're the only gummy bears I love. Everyone's always trying to get me, try these gummy bears. No, I've tried every gummy bear in the world. Haribo is for me. One of the things I like about Haribo gummy bears is you can invert them into what you call a 69 position, where you can smash them together and they fit together and you can take two in each side and crunch them between your teeth. I like to do that. Well, because they're celebrating their 100th anniversary, they have added these party hats, these blue party hats inside the Haribo Gold Bear bags. You cannot 69 them with other gummy bears. The shape is wrong. So you can't put those little juicy gummy bear bricks in your teeth. And it's a different flavor. They've given you a whole different flavor. So it's new and different, and I don't like new and different when it comes to my gummy bears. They tried to do this once before with some contest they run to add different flavors to the gold bears. No, there's a reason why. Anyway.
Is this a gummy bear rant? What are you doing?
Kind of. You know, only because there was a guy in the chat who had sent in a tip named Gummy Bear. And that's how I referred to it.
John, there is but a couple seats. There's pretty good seats still available, so you may want to check that out.
I'll take a look at that after the show's done. Thanks, Ray. All right, next up, Bama Ham Yam Yum sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, man. And he writes, Ray, I put 185 hours into Halo Infinite in the past 3 months, so March 24th is my game day. Your review got me more excited for the show. I'm a huge fan of the games, but always open to new interpretations of IPs. Good. Yes, we talked about this the other day. Ray and I watched the first 2 episodes of Halo. We watched the first 2 episodes, and I got to say I liked it. Mm-hmm. I did. And something I said, I got some people writing to me that are so mad that I said it, but I stand by it, and I'll say it again. I know there are a lot of people who are put off by the fact that I'm not a Halo player. All right? So I acknowledge I'm not a Halo player. But I know there are some people put off by the fact that he takes his helmet off. And what I said was, unless the game gives me a reason why he doesn't take his helmet off, and the only reason you think he shouldn't take his helmet on is because he doesn't take it off in the game, but the game doesn't give you a narrative reason why he doesn't take it off, then there is no problem with him taking the helmet off. Like in Mandalorian, they explain he's grew up in this religious sect that believes you cannot take your helmet off. That's basically, it's a spiritual truism for them. You cannot take your helmet off. So then that makes it a reason why. And I asked people who play Halo, I said, is there a reason given why he shouldn't take the helmet off? And everybody just said, no, there's no reason he doesn't take it off. Well, then in the TV show, there's no reason he shouldn't take it off. That's just my thought.
I would like to say that the way he's going into it is perfect. Like, you saw how my reaction when he took it off, John.
Yes.
At first, I was crushed.
You're like, not this soon.
I was crushed.
Not this
I was
early?
crushed. But within like a minute, I got over it. You just have to accept certain things. I can't wait to see it again, so I'm excited for the 24th still, because we watched it on the smallest laptop screen. I think it took away from the experience. I can't wait to see it on a big TV.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it on
Also,
television.
there was one of the comments by one of the producers said, "Well, we didn't refer back to the games when they were making the show," and I'm like, that's not very cool.
Well, they actually do. I mean, there was a lot of, like, again, I don't play the games, but there was a number of times when Ray and Ryan would both go, well, that's right from the game. And that's right from the game.
There was a lot of fan service there. There was enough for me to like it.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
All right, guys, listen, we're going to take one more sponsor break here to thank the folks over at Peloton, and then we'll be right back to get to the remainder of your questions. Hey, guys, we want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of today's video, Peloton. Now listen, in the never-ending quest to try to stay in shape, one of the keys is to vary up your workout and your exercises to make sure you avoid losing your motivation and keep from getting burnt out from doing the same thing over and over again. Peloton has you covered. I know for me, one of the keys was getting my Peloton tread and using the Peloton app to get my varied workouts in. And Peloton just keeps pushing you forward with new classes, new music, new ways to keep your workouts fun and motivating. One of the newer offerings that has me personally really excited is their boxing classes. Peloton is stepping into the ring with its newest discipline, and you don't even have to have any gloves. Discover a fast, furious, and fun workout with Peloton instructors in your corner. Even if you've never boxed before, these classes will have you working up a sweat while working on the fundamentals of form, footwork, and fun combos that will keep you on your toes. Peloton has a workout for every day and every kind of schedule. So guys, right now, visit onepeloton.com to learn more. That's onepeloton.com. And thank you to the great folks at Peloton. I love my Peloton treadmill for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, let's get back over to your questions here, shall we? We pick things up with Andy, who writes, would you be okay if Ben Affleck came back to direct his Batman script, even if he's not playing Batman? I'd be totally cool with it, and he's my favorite Batman. Absolutely. He's one of the best directors of the last 10 years. When you look at the films he's done, they've all been fantastic. I even really liked We Live the Night. I can't remember the exact title of it, but I even like that.
Live by Night.
Live by Night. I even like that one. I mean, it's the least good. I think it's the least good of his films. But he directed Academy Award-winning Best Picture films. He's a great director, so I would totally be okay with it, Andy.
He could probably do that script, not knowing anything about it and having not read it, but knowing it's about Deathstroke, Slade Wilson. I could see something like that existing in Pattinson's Bat universe.
Well, because Deathstroke's not a supernatural character.
Right.
And now, of course, I did hear that I heard there's a bunch of DC crossover in Ben Affleck's script, so that would all have to go. But yeah, other than that, I'd be totally down for it. All right. Shelby writes, probably very unlikely, but what if they got Mary-Kate and or Ashley Olsen to do a cameo as Wanda variants in Multiverse of Madness? I would love it. I think that would be a hoot if they did. But from what I understand, neither of them, the original Olsen twins, and yeah, for those who don't realize this, yes, Elizabeth Olsen is the sister of the Olsen twins.
The younger sister.
The younger sister of the Olsen twins. From what I understand, and I don't pretend to know a lot about the Olsens, but they don't do camera stuff. Apparently they don't like doing that stuff anymore. So I don't think they could get to happen, but I'd be down for it. I think it'd be fun.
I think it'd be actually kind of cool.
It wouldn't even have to be variants of it. Just say they're like the long lost sisters. I don't know. All right. Next up, Mike Joyce writes, thoughts on Harvey Guillen voicing Nightwing in Harley Quinn season 2. I don't even know who that is, so I can't say. Do you have any idea, Rob?
Yeah, I read something about it, but he's from somewhere else, and I'm trying to forget. I did forget where he's from.
All right. So unfortunately, I didn't hear about it, Mike. I don't have any knowledge of it, so I can't comment on it, unfortunately. But I love all things Harley Quinn. So we'll see. All right. Robert Tari writes, it's sad that I feel like it may have to do with how Chapek has been. Is this going back maybe to his other thing about Brad Bird? It's sad to feel they may have something to do with how Chapek's been Pixar. This is first feature. We already read this, of course. Let's see. KC writes, Hey, John and crew, got any plans this weekend? I actually might see either X or The Outfit this weekend. I've heard good things about both of these movies. We'll definitely go see Everything Everywhere All at Once this coming weekend. Or next weekend, I should say. I walked out of X, but because I thought it was, other than like them having some great filthy in it, it was unbearably boring for the first hour, like unbearably boring. But after I left, I looked up reviews and like people are saying, oh no, like 95% the last time I checked on Ray, can you look up what X's Rotten Tomatoes rating is right now?
But before that, I want to point out that the chat is pointing out that Nightwing question, it was whatever his first name was, Guillermo from What We Do in the Shadows, voicing.
Oh, well, I love Guillermo for What We Do in the Shadows. Well, and that first of all, I love all things Harley Quinn. They bring in all these characters, but I love, like, he was just in, Guillermo, he was just the medical examiner.
That's right. He was a medical examiner in
Reacher.
In Reacher.
That's right. And he's so good in What We Do in the Shadows.
He was really good. He was good in Reacher. He was kind of comic relief.
Yes, but he was great.
He was great.
I like him a lot. All right.
I don't have any numbers for X right now. I'm going on Box Office Mojo.
No, just Rotten Tomatoes. I don't need the box office score. I was wondering what the audience or whatever rates. Okay, so I would recommend going to see The Outfit at this point. Seconds from Disaster writes, one of two. Following up from yesterday's theory of Kamala's bracelet being Kree tech, Comics Explained has another theory about the 10 rings, that they could have belong to a future variant of Kang, and he lost them in our timeline before the multiversal war. He Remains talked about. What are your thoughts? I think that's far too convoluted. I don't think general movie going audiences would. I think that's way too convoluted. Like the idea that they could be ancient Kree tech, I don't even buy into that one. But that one's far more feasible, being ancient Kree tech. But that whole other thing is like general movie going on. She's gonna go, no, I'm checking out. Like, too I don't know, Rob. What do you think about that?
I agree with that. It is too convoluted, and I think it's better that it has some connection to the current MCU in some way, shape, or form.
So we got 96% on the tomato meter, and then audience scores at 77%.
Okay, so I mean, high numbers. So maybe I got to go back and watch the second half. I just know I was bored to tears the first half, other than, the Great Filthy. Bring on the filthy. I like the filthy.
Filthy.
But other than
That's
that,
the calmest way of ever saying that.
It's just, bring on that filthy.
The great filthy upon you, sir.
With great filthy comes great responsibility. and maybe I need to go back and give that thing a second shot. We'll have to see. All right. Next up, Al Renshaw writes, Disney Pixar is going to make so much money off Turning Red and Lightyear cat merchandise. Good portion of it from me. I plan to get a Funko and probably a plush toy from both myself. Well, Turning Red isn't a cat. Just want to make sure people know that. It's a red panda, but it's okay. And yes,
they will sell a lot.
And they will sell a lot. They would have sold more if it was in theaters, but they're going to sell a lot. And yeah, that cat in Buzz Lightyear trailer, I gotta say, looks pretty good. That looks pretty funny. It really, really does.
I want to get a model kit of the ship from Lightyear. I hope they make a toy of that. It's cool.
I'm sure there are going to be toys for it.
This is a lot of Lightyear stuff.
Yeah, this is Disney. There's going to be a lot of toys, dude. All right, Daniel Dang writes, excited for HBO's The Last of Us. The fact that it's on HBO and is run by the Chernobyl showrunner and the original video game director gets me giddy. Listen, there is no way this could be set up better. You got I believe, the greatest storytelling in video game history with The Last of Us 1 and 2. You've got the showrunner of Chernobyl, maybe the best limited series ever? Or at least the last number. It's in the conversation. And a lot of people say, well, get the original people. Well, you got the original guy behind the game, also one of the senior people on the project. It couldn't be set, and it's on the of TV content, HBO. I'm not saying the show's going to be great. Maybe it's terrible. But if you're talking about setting it up for success, you couldn't set it up more perfectly. It's got everything going for it right now. We'll just have to see how it kind of works out. All right, next up. Nope, we already did Cam K. John Redcorn writes, if Morbius flops, which I hope it doesn't, does Sony move forward with Craven and Madam Web, or do they scrap them and retool / scrap their Sonyverse again? No, they don't. Because here's the thing. People who know anything about the business, or know anything about business at all, don't overreact to the outcome of one project, positively or negatively. If Morbius flops, which I don't think it will, it ain't going to be a $700 million film. It ain't going to make Venom money. But we'll see. I don't think it's going to flop.
And it probably didn't cost a lot either.
For a comic book movie.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to Scream, it probably cost a fortune.
Well, of course.
But yeah. So, but if it did, it doesn't change anything. They still believe in Craven. They still believe in their Madam Web projects. You move forward. Now, you go 2, 3 in a row, then you have to start see, one of the big problems with Warner Brothers, with their DC properties going back to the days of Man of Steel, one of the things that really screwed them up was they were so reactionary. Everything was reacting just to what the latest news was. Oh, this happened just now? Quick, change everything. Oh, now this just happened now? Quick, change everything again. Sony's not going to do that, even if Morbius doesn't do well. It could like make 50 million at the box office total and have a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, and that will not and should not deter them from what their upcoming projects are. Now, again, you go 2 or 3 in a row, now you got to reassess. That's not just being reactionary. Now that's assessing the overall situation. I don't know, Rob, how would you address that?
No, I agree. And plus, Spider-Man No Way Home was a Sony movie, so their Spider-Verse is pretty secure for a while.
Yeah.
And Let There Be Carnage did very well. And so Morbius, I think Morbius is not expected to do blockbuster business the way Spider-Man or the way the Batman or the way some other comic book movies are. So, and after all, it is a vampire movie.
Right. All right, next up, Shelby writes, also from an ex-AMC employee, boo Adam Aaron.
Oh, yeah.
Shelby, you're a girl after my own heart, man. Boo Adam Aaron.
Boo.
The only reason I might be going to CinemaCon this year is to boo Adam Aaron.
Boo him.
When he gets on that stage.
You too, Rob. Boo.
Boo. I'm gonna be that lady in Princess Buttercup's Nightmare, in Princess Bride. Boo!
You're gonna try to make him cry, huh, John? With your boos. You're gonna try to make him cry.
I'm going there to make Adam Aaron cry. Boo! Your mama don't like you.
Oh no!
That's right. I went there.
Man, you don't even go slowly. You go straight to the juggernaut.
So bow to the queen of putrescence. I'll pull out all stops, man.
Wow.
I'm gonna get thrown out of that auditorium.
Yep. And then after you get thrown out, I'll be like, "Hey, I'm sorry, Mr. Aaron. Can I get an A-list?
Can I get free A-list? I don't know him. Can I get an A-list? Boo!
Boo!
Boo.
Next up, we got Joel writes, do you think the Obi-Wan show could lead to a Darth Vader show of him hunting Luke? Nah. I mean, honestly, and I almost feel this way already, but we're Vadered out. We're Vadered out. Like literally, Vader's in everything. He's even in Rebels.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in everything. It's time to reel in the Vader stuff. It's just time to. So no, I don't think.
How about anything to do with the original trilogy?
Yeah. How about we get to something anything other than the original trilogy?
Let's table all of it.
Yeah,
please.
It's time. It's time. All right. Let's see. Next up, Josh Hendley writes, do you think Marvel Studios will treat the Defender series like Ash versus the Evil Dread treated the Evil Dead trilogy? Seems like what Rob said yesterday. I don't know what he's talking about. Do you know what he's talking about?
Well, I mean, I guess that the Ash versus the Evil Dead. Wait, what was the question?
Okay, so the question is, do you think Marvel Studios will treat the Defender series like Ash versus the Evil Dead treated the Evil Dead trilogy?
Okay, so the Evil Dead trilogy and Ash versus the Evil Dead, it was almost like two different things. Even though it's Ash, that we've met in the original Evil Dead, so they're the same but different? Maybe. I mean, they could do that, but I think, though, meaning that the Defenders trilogy will not be in the MCU, but the characters as we know them, we know that they're all from the Evil Dead movies or they're from the Netflix shows, but they're never going to make that direct connection.
Yeah.
So maybe, I mean, I could see that happening, putting it that way. Why not?
All right. Next up, where are we at here? We're at Al Renshaw, who writes, over under 50%. They re-released Avatar theatrically before Avatar 2. 10,000%. 10,000%. Because it's free money. And let's face it, and you know what? Forget the free money part. It's a good idea. It's been a long time since Avatar. Give people the opportunity to watch it on the big screen again, increase its lead as the biggest film of all time over Endgame again, because believe you me, when the next Avengers movie comes out, whenever that is, you know they're going to re-release Endgame to try to get Endgame to go back into the #1 spot all time. But yeah, Rob, what do you think? They're going to put it to re-release
Well, I mean,
Avatar?
it's been a while, and they've invested in how many? They're making 18,000 Avatar sequels, so they might as well remind people why Avatar was worthy of sequelness in the first place. So why not? By the way, John, I got to tell you, if I could see that IMAX 3D presentation again, I would go because it was spectacular.
It really was. I mean, and I don't even think it needed to have, I don't think we even really needed to have it in 3D. I don't think 3D made it. Honestly, I thought, wow, now I really see the value of 3D. But then I went again the next time to see it in a regular screen. I'm like, oh, I didn't have one less bit of an experience without the 3D. So yeah, so that was my thoughts on it at any rate. All right. Next up, where are we at? Ryan Lohner writes, Turning Red is set in 2002, and the story is a metaphor for a girl going through puberty. So that's two ways it's a period movie. Sidious Swift writes, glad the Batman is doing well financially. I'll be watching it for a 5th time today after watching The Outfit. I still have to go back for my 3rd screening. I still haven't watched it a 3rd time yet.
I've only seen it twice.
I am definitely going to watch it 4 or 5 times in theaters. It's a long movie, but I'm definitely going to go back. Right, you're coming, right?
For what?
For 4th and 5th screenings, 3rd, 4th, and 5th screenings of the Batman?
Oh, no. No, I'm good, man. We're good. I mean, I know that movie like that. It's fine.
Yeah, you've seen it twice now, right?
Yeah, twice.
Okay. Yeah, you made it through a 3-hour movie twice. I'm impressed.
Kind of.
All right, next up. Have a good time with that, Sidious. Daryl Bassa writes, love the Batman, but did anyone else feel like the scene? Never mind. We're not getting into spoilers. Mickey Bell writes, hey guys, I agree with Daniel Radcliffe's stance. I feel we need more time until that original cast, until we see that original cast back. And when we do, it'll be money. I mean, look, I get that. At the same time, 10 years later, 10 years after the events of Deathly Hallows, because has it been 10 years since Deathly Hallows? Yeah. That's enough time where all these characters are in a different place in their lives now. But I agree. It also wouldn't hurt to give it another 5. Because I'll tell you what, Rob, you wait another 5 years, it ain't going to make $1 less.
Right.
Not like Avatar. Avatar, which was, one film, waited way too long, and it's going to make big money. Still, it's probably going to be the biggest movie of the year. But it's going to make less than I think it would have 7 years ago. Harry Potter, I don't feel the same way. That's a full franchise that has generations of fans. I think you'll be fine 5 years from now.
I agree.
All right, next up. Let's see here. Remember Bulldog writes, just watched Indiana Jones for the first time, and it was such a great adventure film. That's awesome. Ray, you yourself just watched Raiders of the Lost Ark for the first time.
Yeah.
It is a great adventure film.
It is
Up
indeed.
there with Uncharted, baby.
Up there with, you heard it, right up there with Uncharted. But seriously though, it's the adventure film. Like when you think of sci-fi film, Star Wars, when you think of horror films, there's a couple that could come to mind, like Friday the 13th or Freddy. When you think adventure, it's Indiana Jones. I mean, that's what comes to mind. That's how big that thing is. All right. B. Gill Studio sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, B. Gill, for supporting us on that level, man. And he writes, hey, John and crew. I'm super excited to say that my new original superhero series, Sparrow, is doing great with just 2 episodes so far. Local podcast in Chicago wants to interview me. You should check out Sparrow. Thanks. Okay, guys. First of all, B. Gill, super big congratulations to you for that. Super big congratulations to you. That is awesome. However, I've been having to deal with this a lot the last few days. Guys, just so you know, and I appreciate all of you, and I always want you guys to be doing all these projects, but the super chat and the tips for mailbag, the questions for mailbag and the super chats here are not meant to be free advertising for your personal projects. Okay.
But Bigil told me about the second part that he wasn't able to get in. He was saying he took the master class that you were actually promoting from Bob Iger and Ron Howard, and it's helped.
Oh, those are great. Yeah,
it's helped him achieve what he's trying to do right now. So
right. And I know we've talked about B-Gill's project before. We have on here. So I'm not trying to center out B-Gill at all. Not in the least. I'm just, in the last 4 or 5 days, I've had to like pull, and our screeners have had to pull like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 questions out of mailbag, which is simply, John, I put out a new album. It's called blah, blah, blah. It can be found here. And it's like, okay, so what you're really doing is trying to get $1,000 of advertising for a $2 thing. It's like, and that's not what our super chat or our questions are for. And again, I'm not centering out B-Gill. I'm totally not. I'm super thrilled for you, dude. But just so you guys know, moving forward, the chat is to super chats is for sending in interesting topics that everybody would be interested in. So just want to throw that in there.
But
okay?
it's cool. He watched our sponsor masterclass.
Yes, it is cool that you watched our master, who are sponsors of the John Campea show. So thank you for that. And it's an extra little plug. All right. Next up, we got KC Mack, who writes 1 of 2. Hey guys, coming out of South by Southwest this year, so far X 97% fresh. Everything Everywhere All at Once is 97%. I can't wait to watch that. And The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent is at 100%. I'd like to know how many more things came out of that. I look forward to watching all 3 of these movies, but the thing that surprises me is The Lost City being at 100% so far. Did not expect it to be that good. Ray, can you look up The Lost City on Rotten Tomatoes?
Okay.
And also tell us what it's at right now and how many, because listen, if you would have told me about this movie, I would say, well, that sounds lame. But then I saw the previews for it. It's like, okay, this looks awesome. Daniel Radcliffe is the bad guy. I mean, and it just looks like a lot of fun.
It's at 100% right now.
How many reviews?
15.
Okay, so like last time I saw it had like 2, but 15 reviews is still 100%.
That's good.
Does that come out this weekend?
It comes out. No, I think it comes out the following weekend. It does come out. Not this weekend as in tomorrow, but this coming weekend, because Everything Everywhere All at Once and The Lost City, Ann and I are seeing those on back-to-back days.
March 25th.
Yeah. So we're seeing those on back-to-back days. Not tomorrow, but the day. Yeah, I'm very excited about that. Yeah, a lot of good things coming. April is going to be great. Starting this coming weekend, we got a packed movie slate, man, and it is great to see. All right. Mansa Musa writes, hey guys, watched Martin Scorsese's film Casino last night. That's an all-time great. I was always under the impression that it was a lesser film because people mainly talk about Goodfellas, but I really love the film. Can't wait for his new movie.
Oh,
Listen, and by the way, Mansa sent in like a $20 super chat for that. Thank you. Listen, this is why it frustrates me when I come out of, say, any comic book movie, and the first thing people ask, is it as good as The Dark Knight? Well, wait, why are we jumping to the highest shelf? Like, why don't you just ask, is it good? Is it great? Like, or whenever I've seen a crime movie, is it as good as The Godfather? Well, see, that's the thing. Like, look, is Casino The Godfather? No, but no movie's The Godfather. Is Casino Goodfellas? No, other than The Godfather, I think Goodfellas is probably the best mobster movie of all time, other than Godfather. But Casino is awesome. Like, it's so good.
Casino is so good. And the first hour of Casino is some of the greatest filmmaking Martin Scorsese has ever done. It's incredible.
And that's saying a lot.
It's saying a lot.
Oh, it's such a good movie.
But the way, it's so good.
But good on you, man, for checking it out. And you're right. Like, don't worry about it in terms of Goodfellas, or just go and watch it for what it is. And it's fabulous. If you guys haven't, and probably a lot of you haven't seen Casino yet, if you haven't, do yourself a favor. Set a night aside for you and a couple of buddies, whatever, sit down and watch Casino. I think you'll be very, very glad that you did. All right. Dalton Gray writes, hey, John, stoked for Morbius, and I was wondering if I said something wrong yesterday, or was it a mistake that you skipped my $20 super chat? I have no idea. I mean, sometimes I have to skip things because I notice somebody saying something that shouldn't be said, but since I don't know what the context here is, Dalton, I can't give an answer to that, unfortunately. But I am dying to see Morbius. Got my tickets. Cannot wait. It's going to be awesome. All right. Krusty Bat Nipples writes, love working at the movie theater as a second job. Love the free tickets. Man, I'll tell you what, dude. I was never able to get a job at the movie theater. I tried as a teenager. I tried. But there was fewer movie theaters, especially on the Hamilton Mountain. Like on the Hamilton Mountain, there was only one movie theater where I was growing up there. And that was the Famous Players at AMC Theaters. And they had 4 screens. So that means if you were a teenager growing up on the Hamilton Mountain and you wanted to work in a movie theater, which I think all of my friends did, there was only a very finite number of jobs. And you were all fighting over the same jobs. And I never had a chance to work in a movie theater. I always wish I could have, man. And it's so fun because every time I go back to the AMC Burbank 16 in Burbank, I run into people who still work there, and they love it. They love it. Even though we as audience goers can be nightmares to them sometimes, they still love the job. And I'm glad you got that, man. All right. Next up. Bird Hop writes, over under 35% that Jessica Jones in She-Hulk doing PI work. I'm going to go under 35%. I mean, I believe we're going to get some Defender appearance in there, but I'm going to go under 35% that we see Jessica Jones. I'm not 0, not 5, but I'm going to go under 35 is a big number, so I'm going to go under 35.
I think I'm going to go under 35 as well.
But it's possible.
Because remember, they've already made She-Hulk. And I don't know if they had the shows coming back to them before that show was shot.
Right.
So.
All right. Next up. Hey, John, how come you hate Machine Gun Kelly? I don't know, because he's a talentless hack. Listen, I'll be honest with you. My biggest exposure to Machine Gun Kelly is when he picked a fight with Eminem. And then Eminem making Kill Shot, which I think is the best diss track in the history of music. It's simply the best. And like, what kind of moron, like how mentally deficient do you have to be to pick a fight with Eminem? Like how dumb do you have to be? So I just,
he is with Megan Fox now. That's a win.
So was, what's his name from 90210?
Brian Austin Green.
Now, don't get me wrong. I have met Megan Fox, and not only is she as beautiful and everything you think, she was really nice. She's really, because I said that though, almost as if I was downplaying Megan Fox. I don't mean to do that at all. She was super nice, super wonderful. But I'm just saying, I know very little. I can't hate somebody I know very little about. I know almost nothing about Machine Gun Kelly.
And he's an actor too. He was just in something recently.
Yeah, he was just in Jackass as well.
Yeah, he was in
I wouldn't say he was acting, but he was just in Jackass.
But he was in something else.
My first real introduction to Machine Gun Kelly was just picking a fight with Eminem to me, which just tells me you're pretty dumb, because that's never going to end well. That is not going to, you're not going to end up on the positive side of that ledger. But honestly, I can't say I hate Machine Gun Kelly because I really don't know anything else about him. And that's just it. All right. Next up. Jerome writes, Yellowstone question. You think Jamie will become a villain in the next season? I think this. I think when you have enough horrible things happen to an even basically good person character, that can drive them to do very bad things.
One bad day, John.
One bad day. And Jamie has eaten a lot of shit in Yellowstone. And the way the last season ended, I don't know. He could break bad. He could break really bad, really fast. We'll find out. Remember Bulldog writes, are you going to watch an early screening of Moon Knight? I don't know.
No one sent me anything.
When it comes to the streaming stuff, sometimes these places send me early screeners. Sometimes they don't. Usually when I ask for one, they give it to me. But here's the problem, though. So I only requested one for Halo because I know Ray wanted to see it really bad. But with WandaVision, right? We got the first 2 episodes of WandaVision early. It might have been the first 3. I can't remember. First 2 or 3. Couple weeks early, right? Here's the downside of that. Watch the first 2 episodes of WandaVision, and I literally had to wait a month to watch a new episode.
Right.
Because I had to wait the 2 weeks until the show debuted. And then I had to wait a few more weeks as the first episode played. Then the following week, the next episode played. And then finally the next week, the next episode played. And that sucked. Loving it so much and then having to wait a month to see the next episode.
I'd just like to throw it out on the table. If somehow you were to get an early screening of Moon Knight, I wouldn't care how much time it took to see the next episode. I want you to know, let me state unequivocally for the folks at home, if you get some early screeners of Moon Knight, I would very much enjoy seeing them.
All right, well, you know what? maybe I'll send out an email, see if we can get some early screening of Moon Knight.
I don't like that face Rob is making. It almost looks like you better. I will do things to you you don't want.
All right, let's keep going here.
Bring
Next
out the
up,
gimp.
Joel writes, what do I have to do to see a Chef Pleasure special animated or live action made from the whole crew? Send in $3 million? Send in $3 million. We'll get it done. No. I'll get a hold of Titmouse. Say, just give us your interns. Here's $3 million. Make a Chef Pleasure.
$3 million, we could make an epic Chef Pleasures series.
Animated. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. You send in $3 million. We'll do the whole
in like South Park style.
We'll do the whole critical part. Yeah.
Funny.
We'll do the whole critical role Vox Machina thing. $3 million. That'll get it done. All right. Next up. Lucky BX writes, hi, crew. I think some form of the Avengers still exists. The end scene with Banner and Carol and Shang-Chi hints at this. Well, I mean, yeah. And the fact that in the recent shows and movies, they still reference the Avengers and they don't reference them in past tense. Rob, though, you keep raising a very good point. It's like, we don't know what state they're in right now, or even if they are a thing, but the show seemed to imply they're still there. They just given us no information as to what does that look like right
or
now.
Wong was just consulting, got in touch with various people that are, in the Marvel universe that aren't, I mean, we still don't know where are they located because the Avengers headquarters was completely destroyed.
Refresh me on what happened at the end of Shang-Chi real quick with Carol and who? Oh,
And Bruce Banner.
I don't remember that at all.
Remember Wong brought Shang-Chi and Katie.
Right.
And they were trying to figure out what the rings are. And in the room were standing holograms of Captain Marvel. And yeah.
And also, I have to point out, are you losing your voice right now?
Yeah.
This is how much you're sacrificing.
Yep, I am.
Yeah,
my voice is going. My voice is going pretty good. We're in hour number 3 right now. So yes, the voice starts to go a little bit. And especially on days when we don't have Chris or Aaron here to read off the questions. It gets a little bit laborious, but let's keep rolling here, shall we? Okay. Mickey Bell writes, the Batman doing so well is not only great, but also encouraging for the other comic book movies we have coming. Morbius and Doctor Strange will benefit. I mean, look, I've said this all the time. When a moviegoer goes to a movie and they have a really good time, they are like 3 times more likely to come back to the theaters within the next 2 to 3 to 4 weeks. I mean, that's easy. You don't have to be brilliant to understand that. If you go somewhere and have a great time, you want to do it again. So when audiences go to a comic book movie and have a great time, I will tell you this. Morbius will make more money with Batman being great and people having loved their time at the Batman than Morbius would have made if people gone to the Batman and thought it sucked. I'm not saying that means Morbius is going to make $150 million opening weekend. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not. But I'm saying whatever money Morbius makes, it's going to be more than it would have if Batman had sucked. So I don't know, Rob, what do you think about that?
I think you're right. I think you're right about that. And you have to look at Morbius. Morbius is something new. Most people don't even know it's connected to any other comic book property. They don't come right out and say, from the pages of the Spider-Verse comes Morbius. So people don't know. It's its own thing. And I think they're doing that on purpose because if for some reason, if it didn't work, well, then no harm, no foul.
All right, next up. We've got old Danny Boy who writes, Rob, the Queen Studios Joker is a decent price, kind of. How much did they say it was?
Well, it's less than $1,000, and
that's not a good price.
there's different tiers, John. You can get the regular sculpted head version, or you can get the deluxe, and there's a 2-pack.
Well then,
The problem
still
is
not worse than $1,000.
the problem is it's China only. So the way you have to get it is go through a retailer like Toys Wonderland and get it shipped here.
Then you got to probably pay another $75 for shipping.
And they're only going to let you pre-order it for 3 days, and then the pre-orders are cut off.
All right. Next up, the man with the master plan writes, Happy Friday. Is A-List worth it? Thinking about getting it for a long time. Also, how about Princess Bride for the movie club? What about Infernal Affairs? I don't think we'll do Infernal Affairs because not enough people have ever watched it. Princess Bride, absolutely. Listen, I've got my issues with AMC, but the fact of the matter is and I've got my boo. I still got my issues with their CEO, Adam Aaron. That being said, I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you AMC is still my favorite theater chain. They are. And A-List is still the best value for moviegoers anywhere. As long as you go to at least 2 movies a month, it's totally worth it. The great thing about AMC A-List is I can be sitting around. If Ann says, hey, I'm going to go meet Kat for coffee, then I can just go, oh, all right. Okay, I can just run over to AMC Theaters with my A-List and walk in and see any movie I want to go see. It really is a great value. And if you only go to 1 movie a month, it's not worth it. But if you go to more than 1 movie, and by the way, if you have A-List, what a lot of people have written in and said is that they find themselves going to movies that they wouldn't have normally gone to because you got A-List. You got to 12 movies a month. So yeah, I would say man with the master plan, as long as you see more than 2, like at least 2 movies a month, and as long as an AMC theater is within a reasonable distance of you, I think that's the thing to do. All right. Thanks for writing in, man. Next up, Tim Platt writes, the best Joker line isn't in any of the movies. It's in Harley Quinn. Electric car. Can't wait for season 3. It is. I can't remember the exact setup of it. And Rob, I can't even remember if you watched Harley Quinn.
I have not.
But oh, dude, you gotta watch
the
Harley
first
Quinn.
episode.
Oh God, you gotta watch the thing.
I liked it.
But at one point in season 1, Joker captures Batman and discovers he's Bruce Wayne and freaks out that he's Bruce Wayne. And he goes, I pre-ordered my Wayne electric motor car like 2 years ago. Where's my goddamn electric car, Bruce? And that is like the best line in Joker. Where's my goddamn electric car, Bruce? It is such a good line. Like it might be the best Joker line of all time. It is like, it's my goddamn electric car, Bruce. I love that line. Okay. Anyway, next up, Joel sends in like a $50 super chat. Thank you, Joel, for supporting us on that level, dude. Thank you so much, man. And he writes, I think it would be cool if the Obi-Wan series started out with a 5-minute battle with Darth Vader and Obi-Wan while playing Duel of the Fates. Then the scene cutting away days before, and we don't get to see the fight resume until the finale. All right. It's funny you mentioned that, Joel, because we were just talking about this before the show started, and I am going to 1,000% disagree with you. And I'll tell you why. I was just telling Rob this before the show started. I said, I tell him that I walked out of X, and I said, and by the way, it did something that I'm getting really tired of movies doing. Starting off showing us the ending. I'm tired. It annoys me now. Like it has been done to good effect in certain movies at times. Absolutely. But this whole trope
like Casino.
Like Casino. But this whole trope of starting a movie with, here's what happens right near the end. Now let's go back 3 days ago or yesterday or whatever it was, right? I am so over that. I don't know, Rob, what do you think about it?
Dude, I'm so sick of it. Picard episode 1 did the same thing. I mean, it's such a tired trope because I think it's they always talk about starting a movie or a TV show or something with action. Even Ozark, the new season, the last season of Ozark began with that, which is something that they're leading up to. And I feel like I get it. It seems though to be a narrative cheat. Like they're setting up a question like, oh my God, how are they going to get out of this? And then you have to wait until you get to that point. But it's like, I don't like it. I'm tired of it. It's boring. I don't like it.
I love it.
You do?
Because if you see
now
the
I
end,
can go to sleep.
you go to sleep, baby.
Get
revenge.
Wake me up once we get to that part. All right, Chef Rigo. Writes in.
Chef.
Got myself a PS5 last night. Nice.
Well done.
Nice. I got to say, even though dudes, my friends, my brothers and sisters, I suck at console controls. I suck so bad at it. I'm trying, like, Ann and I played, the very first game I played on my PS5 was It Takes Two. Wonderful game. We had a blast playing that game. Then I moved on. What did I play right after that? Well, I got into playing a little bit of, they redid one of my all-time favorite games called Day of the Tentacle. It was by LucasArts. It's one of the funniest it's a puzzler kind of game, right?
Okay.
It's a story-driven puzzle game where you're trying to stop this living tentacle from taking over the world. But at any rate, then I stopped playing that. And then Anne's been playing Monkey Island 2 on it as well. But I stopped playing because I thought I gotta play Day of the Tentacle for play and chat sometime. But then recently I've been playing God of War, and oh my god, because I've watched the 8-hour cutscene movie. It's awesome, but I suck at this game. But still trying to. But listen, I love the PS5. Gonna play some Harry Potter on it once it comes out.
Do you know what the chef can do with his PS5? I don't know if he has one with a disc drive like you do, but you can start collecting physical media if you have one with a disc drive because it has a great 4K player in it.
Or you can follow what history is doing and move away from physical media and start just building up your digital collection. It's because that's the way things are going. All right. Next up, the City of Swift writes, Chef Pleasure's podcast name, Ray's Orals.
Yeah, baby. What? Do I boo that? Boo! I thought it was funny. That's pretty good.
Oh, no, you don't boo that. That was a good one.
What? Do I boo that? Boo.
Come on.
All right. Next up,
Chef Pleasure.
our
special
friend
surprises.
Kevin Cow, who made those awesome figures for us, writes, and happy Friday, everyone. Super happy for the Batman crossing 500 million and still yet to release in China. And I think Radcliffe should be Harry again. I think it did open in China. I could be wrong, but I think it did open in China. And as I said, I don't count on it.
They
doing
got the Corona variant is exploded
that's true,
again.
but it made about 33 million in China. It made about 33 million in China, which again, I said I don't think you can count on it making a lot in China. But again, it's wrecking havoc in China. A lot of China's theaters are closed again, but we'll see what the ultimate result of that is. But I think Kevin, he will be Potter again someday. And I don't think he's going to wait 20 years, but I think maybe in the next 5, 6, 7 years, I think they might be willing to convince him to come back. All right. Next up, Alex Von Gollum writes, hey, everyone. I think you guys should have The Godfather for the next week's movie club since it's the 50th anniversary on the 24th. Greetings from Toronto. Well, I guess we can tell you that, yes, the next episode of Movie Club, I should have mentioned this off the top, is going to be The Godfather. What some people consider to be...
You can do it, Ray.
A lot of people consider it, not myself personally, but a lot of cinephiles consider it to be the greatest film of all time. And as you mentioned, we're coming up on its big 50th anniversary. So yes, next episode of Movie Club, we'll be talking about maybe the greatest film ever made, The Godfather. We hope you guys will join us.
And the 4K restoration is out in its beautiful new box set from Paramount on Tuesday.
Yeah, I'll be watching it on streaming. But there you go. If you're a physical media collector, though, that's something you're going to want to your collection. All right. Let's see. Chef Rigo writes, now I can watch all my Blu-rays. There you go, Rob. Chef Rigo. He's right on it.
And now you can get 4K. So buy a 4K TV, plus your games are going to look really, really nice.
All right. Next up, TT writes, hello. Would love to hear everyone's thoughts on the Snyder Cut and all its controversy on the anniversary of the Zack Snyder Justice League. Thanks and have a great weekend. Well, we're not going to spend 15 minutes here talking about that. Look, I'll say this. I thought the Snyder Cut was an improvement over the theatrical version. I thought the main improvement was the storyline of Cyborg. I think that gave a lot of meat to it. I don't think it would have done any better in theaters financially, box office wise. And I will say this, as much as I think it was better than the theatrical version, it was too long. Like I watched it and I felt like there are big chunks of this you could easily cut out of this and make a much better paced, streamlined movie. But again, I like the theatrical version of Justice League. I thought this version was better. It's still hilarious how people thought for so long that it actually existed before HBO Max said, yeah, we'll put it on HBO Max, and they put up $70 million to actually bring it into being. but I mean, it got made and a lot of people liked it. And I don't listen. I'm going to tell you, I don't think it's a top 10 comic book movie of all time, but it was an improvement over the Justice League, over the theatrical version. What do you think?
I really enjoy it because I'm a DC fan. I enjoy the operatic nature of all of it, and I could have watched it for another hour. But I do think that, like you, John, if Snyder wanted to, he could have cut it down and judiciously edited the film. However, I gotta say, the only thing that bothered me in terms of length is watching the women in the small village sing. That was the
singing
only
Aquaman
thing.
Song.
Right, I'm like, maybe.
What about the Martian Manhunter stuff? Come on, that didn't need to be in there.
Not only did I love that, I bought the 6-scale figure of Martian Manhunter.
You actually
yes.
think, narratively speaking, it was good to have those scenes in the movie? Oh, I disagree.
I love Martian Manhunter. I love seeing him show up at the end. I bought the figure. I have the third-party Martian Manhunter figure. I'm making my Zack Snyder display. The Doomsday Flash is coming out. I got the Doomsday Reveler Joker already. I'm getting the Nightmare 2-pack. I can't wait. I love seeing that. We live in a society. They should have left that in there. So, no, I'm a fan.
I really did like that post-credit. Like that whole thing with the Joker and Batman there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff like that. That was a really good scene.
And that's the 6-scale figure that I have of that, both with rooted hair and a sculpted head. I can't wait to put that all up together.
Yeah, that was. I might even seen. I think that might be the best scene. There were a number of scenes in the Zack Snyder cut that really elevated, but I think that might have been the best out of all the new stuff.
I like the stuff with the Flash. I like the Cyborg stuff. I mean, there's
see the thing. The great thing about the Cyborg scene, right, is that one scene when he's going through that woman's. I think she was a cleaning woman. I can't remember, but he basically got to see her life and understand everything all the things she was going through, how she was struggling. In that one moment, we got to see Cyborg's character, because in the theatrical version of Justice League, we really don't know Cyborg's character. We know what happened to him, we know what he is, and we know he's angsty, but we don't know who he is.
No.
Yep.
And just that one scene that Snyder had in there, that let us know who he was as a person, and it gave us context then for everything else he did in the rest of the movie.
I also loved all the Dark Side Steppenwolf stuff.
That's the thing that that's the only reason why I didn't like seeing it, is because now I wanted to see the fight.
You mean Darkseid?
Yeah, I just wanted to see that fight. I just wanted to see it.
I liked Dark Side and poor Steppenwolf. That poor guy.
Yeah.
I felt sad
Steppenwolf.
for him.
He's what's the he's the Toby. He's the Toby. Steppenwolf is the Toby of the DC universe.
Are you referring to The Office?
Yes, I am.
Oh my
Poor
God.
Steppenwolf is the Toby.
That's so sad.
All right. You gotta keep going. Oh, we're already over time, but we got more to go. Okay, Sam Fisher writes, how will the new Netflix sharing work if I'm currently living at home and have been on the account for years, but maybe moving out soon? Do I lose access? Probably yes. It's probably going to be IP based.
Yeah.
And you will probably lose access. And I know it's not the popular thing to say, but you should lose access. I mean, if you're not living in the house anymore, get your own membership for it, or don't. I mean, whatever. But yes, my guess is, Sam, that you will then lose access to it. All right. Del Best Wadley writes, what's the best action movie you've ever seen? Well, Indiana Jones. Well, like my favorite action movie, though, I always say this is my favorite action movie of the 90s, but I think it might be my favorite action movie in general. Although it is a little bit of a slash movie. It's a action/comedy. True Lies.
It's pretty good.
Love True Lies. It's exciting. It's fun. The action is great. It's absolutely hilarious. I love True Lies. What about you?
There's so many. I could say The Raid. One of my favorites is definitely John Woo's Hard Boiled. I'm a huge the scene in the warehouse, the opening shootout in the cafe, in the Bird Cafe. I'm a huge John Woo's Hard Boiled. If you haven't seen John Woo's Hard Boiled, why haven't you? I don't know why, but I love it.
Someone said Kung Pao, which I was about to say.
All right. Next up, Sam Fisher writes, I can see Madam Web work if she is a Jack Ryan analyst-like character. Is that Silver Sable and Black Cat movie, Silver and Black, still kicking or dead? I think it's dead. I'm not 100% sure, but that was one of the first ones they were going to try to roll out with, and then they cut out on that. There's potential there to do that movie. I think there's interesting things you can do, but if it's not dead, then it's probably not coming for a while. But I think, I don't know this officially, Sam, but my guess is that it's dead. Cash writes, hey, John and crew, how long do you think it'll be till we get a Hulk solo movie? And what do you think will be adapted from the comics for it? I think don't hold your breath.
Yeah.
Because the two sides in this have been at the same stalemate for years. I remember Mark Ruffalo even tried to come out and guilt shame Universal. Remember a couple of years ago, Mark Ruffalo came out and goes, come on, Universal, people want to see that. And he made these public statements about it. That didn't make Universal budge. They're like, we own the rights. Not the rights to make the movies. The right to make the movie belongs with Disney. But if Disney makes it, then the rights to distribute the movie are with Universal. And Universal doesn't look like they want to give them up. And Disney doesn't look like they want to make a Hulk movie unless they're the ones distributing it. So until something there changes fundamentally, it ain't going to happen. The story is obvious. World War Hulk. I mean, that's
I would love to see an Avengers movie of the Avengers World War Hulk.
I mean, well, kind of it is.
I know.
Anyway. Yeah. So, I mean, that's the one you do. But I don't know. But I think it's going to be a long time coming, man. A long time coming. All right. Rich, 1138 sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Rich, for supporting us on that level, man. He writes, John and friends, caught Rob on mailbag yesterday. Thanks, Rob. Regarding Nope, but would love to get the team's thoughts too. There's a theory floating around that Nope stands for not of planet Earth. What do you all think?
Sounds good to me.
I like that. I thought it was okay. It didn't occur to me.
I mean,
Understanding that we've heard chatter that it's going to be aliens, not of planet Earth, sounds great. But listen, I still love the title, even if that's not what it means.
Right.
Even if it's just Nope.
Yep.
I think that's a brilliant title.
It's a brilliant title.
I love it.
But you know, it was the first time I'd heard that. And I was thinking like Close Encounters of the Third Kind was CE3K. You know, and I could see Nope. Why are you saying no? You know, not of this Earth. That could be like actually in the movie. Not of planet Earth. I could see that somebody saying that in the film.
Yeah.
And that's where the title comes from, which I kind of like because the way the trailer played out, I can't wait to see this movie.
But at the same time, it's too much on the head too, right? Like if you've heard of that term before, like I've heard of that before. No,
I haven't.
You haven't?
No.
Oh, okay.
Because like, look, all I know is at some point, some dude's about to walk into a dark horse stable because he's going to bring something, and he hears, and he just goes, nope, and turns around and walks away. Movie's good.
I love it.
I'm good.
It's
this is worth the price of admission.
You know that meme of Danny DeVito when he's shaking head like, nope. You know, it's kind of.
I love it.
I still, okay, look, also because this partially reminds me, Ray, you might remember, I can't remember which movie it was, but me and Ray, I think Tommy or Kevin might have been there too, but we were watching something and it was a scary something and something kind of freaky happens. And I just remember Ray going, nope. And he got up and walked out of the room. And like, so when I just, nope, up and go. And ever since then, like that's when I first heard the title of the movie, that's what I instantly thought of. I'm like, if they could do that in the movie, just some guy walking and then something like creepy,
well,
and she goes nope and walks away.
I think they might. I think that there's going to be something like that in the film.
I totally hope they do. All right. Thanks a lot for that, Rich. Next up, we got Suthius, who writes in, perhaps not leader, but Bruce can definitely be a director of operations, if you will, for a new Avengers team or any team they come up with. We see him coaching She-Hulk and inviting Shang-Chi into the circus. Technically speaking, he didn't invite Shang-Chi into the circus. He welcomed him to it. I mean, it was already there. I have a difficult time seeing Bruce as a leader. He's an analyst, but he's a science guy. I don't know. Even though he's one of my favorite characters in the MCU, I don't know that I see him as a leader. What do you think, Rob?
I don't either. I don't see him. And look at the way that they've developed his Professor Hulk persona.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily see him stepping up unless that was the actual story that was being told. is that it was him being forged into a leader because he was forced to take a leadership position.
And plus, you want a guy that's like headstrong and just believes in everything he says. The thing with Bruce Banner, the way Mark Ruffalo plays him, is he's the smartest, but yet when he says stuff, he still seems unsure a little bit. Like maybe
maybe the time travel works, and he's like, "Oops."
Yeah.
Oh, God, listen, I'm not a fan of the Professor Hulk approach they took, but I will admit, in Endgame, when he's like, time travel, I died like, goes, what? I see this as a complete win. That was really funny. But overall, I'm not really a fan of the whole Professor Hulk approach. All right, next up, Kirk Jones writes, hey, team, question. The X-Men has always been portrayed as, quote-unquote, serious comic book films. Do you think the MCU will keep the same tone? Look, I know there's always a bunch of discussion about this, but the MCU, all their films carry degrees of serious tone to them. Like we talk a lot about Thor Ragnarok, the death of Odin, the destruction of Asgard, the loss of Mjolnir, the losing of Thor's eye. There's the having to arrange for the murder of his own sister, the death of his own sister. I mean, there is lightness and humor in them as well, but so did the original X-Men films. So yeah, I think they're going to keep that way.
Look at the Quicksilver sequences, like the sequence in Excalibur in Apocalypse when the mansion explodes and they're playing Sweet Dreams and he's rescuing everybody from the explosion. There's a lot of humor in that scene, even though and it ends with humorous bits. So there's always humor. Can't you just try not being a mutant?
It's always about are you able to strike the right balance? That's always the key. And so far, Kevin Feige's shown he can do that. All right. Jerome writes, you think a remake of The Last Dragon would be a no-win situation since you would have to change things to avoid offending people? Well, here's the thing. Every adaptation involves adaptation. You can change things and make things equally as or better than the original. And so, no, is it a tricky task to redo that movie? Yes. Is it a no-win situation? No. It's not. No, there are definitely paths to victory doing that, but it would be tough. I don't know, Rob, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, if you were to remake it today, like Sho'nuff, the Shogun, somebody would say,
well, that character's that's a cultural appropriation. It's making fun of the Japanese tradition of the Shogun from the Tokugawa Shogun or some. I mean, when you're going back and you're making these remaking movies like Blazing Saddles, could you remake Blazing Saddles today?
I don't think you can today.
I mean, it's like, it's not even, look, we don't even have a sense of humor anymore. I don't know if Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon is a movie that should get remade. Let it exist the way it is. But you could, unless you remade it the same way they made The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air into Bel-Air. I mean, you could do that, but then it wouldn't be as fun.
All right. Or it could be more fun. It could be more fun depending on what they do.
It depends.
Listen, I've seen a lot of remakes when people say it can never be as good as the original, and then I watch a remake and say, yeah, it was better than the original. I mean, not often, but it happens.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, again, difficult, yes. Possible? Absolutely.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, we'll see. All right.
Possible.
Let's see. Mr. Palto writes, are we going to see young Leia in Kenobi 2? Absolutely not. I can't foresee any reason, logistically, canon or otherwise, that you could have a young Leia in there. Gone with the Cheetah writes, I like that name.
That's fast.
Writes, hey, John and crew. Recovering from a fractured shoulder. Oh, no fun. Was wondering if you guys had 3 anime that changed your life. Nope. Mine are Hunter, X Hunter, Naruto, Black Clover, Dragon Ball Z is an honorable mention. No, I mean, listen, my favorite anime thing of all time is Space Battleship Yamato, aka Star Blazers. No anime has ever come close to what I would say, like, changed my life or defining or anything like that. But then you understand, I'm not a huge anime guy. I'm just not. I acknowledge that. But no, nothing. Rob, what about you?
Well, look, I always go back to the original OVA series or OAV of Legends of the Galactic Heroes, but nobody's ever heard of it. So when I bring it up, people are like, wait, what? It's the greatest space opera ever made.
It's too bad Chris Carr is in here because she would obviously be able to get some great answers to that. Ray, what about you?
I agree with him with Dragon Ball Z. Mine, of course, is One Punch Man. And the last one is a boxing anime called Hajime no Ippo. I don't know if I pronounced it right, but I love that anime.
All right. Next up, thanks for writing that in. Gone with the Cheating. That's a great username. Our friend Raymond Verada writes in, just like Abominable, Vietnam banned Uncharted because of 9-line map of China claiming the South China Sea. It's China's propaganda. It's an insult to Vietnam and the Philippines. I mean, now we're getting into political, geopolitical issues. I don't know. I don't care. It's like what you do in a movie or don't do a movie, or somebody put something somewhere. It's
changing Tom Cruise's jacket to take the flag
like
of Taiwan
like Tom
off and
Cruise's jacket. They took off the Taiwan and the Japanese flag off of Tom Cruise's jacket, which some people will say. I mean, look. Some people will say, "Oh, then you're kowtowing to China." It's like, they took a couple of patches off his jacket. It didn't change their movie.
But they did kowtow to China.
But here's the thing. This is my point. Every studio kowtows to every country.
Yeah, because they have to make money.
Based on what they think will. You don't think studios kowtow to the United States? Oh, this isn't going to work in America. You can't say this in America. Okay, well, let's change our movie. Artistic vision always has to be compromised to a degree for the business interests of the film. It's a balancing act. And are there obvious examples of them doing that with China? Yeah, there are. But there are obvious examples of when they did that for Ireland. I remember very specifically when they changed a couple things for Ireland, when they changed some things for Italy, but they do it all the time for the United States. It's like, ooh, you can't do that in a movie in America today. All right, well, we changed that. So all I'm saying is, I'm not saying it's okay or not okay. I'm just saying, be aware that, yes, while it's true a studio may make some adjustments to their movie, because they're making a product that they want to sell in a market. And if you were trying to sell a plastic cup, and Italy was a big market for plastic cups, ooh, but you know what? In Italy, this particular shade of teal, it's considered bad luck in Italy. All right, then you know what you're going to do? You're going to change the shade of that cup for selling them in Italy. That's what you will do. All I'm saying is while it's true that they are doing that, some movies do that for China, I'm just saying be aware that they do that for almost every country. It's not just China that a movie will do that. And most, 90% of it is for the American audiences. They will make changes to their artistic vision for American audiences to make sure they get to sell their movie in the biggest movie market in the world. I'm not saying that makes it okay. I'm not saying that makes it okay. I'm just saying be aware that it's very broadly spread out. All right. Good thing to bring up, Raymond. Next up, Andy writes, you said yesterday that Superman has lost value through the CW. How much of that plays into the reason Superman hasn't had a solo film in 9 years? It's a chicken and egg question almost, I think. Which is the cause of which? Is the diminishing value of Superman the reason they decided they can put him on TV? Or does the further diminishing of the Superman IP value as a result of him being on TV hurt them trying to get another Superman in theaters? Maybe one, maybe the other, maybe both. But I would say at least a part of that, Andy, is true. I think at least a part of that. I don't know, Rob, what do you think?
Oh, I think a part of it's true. I think, honestly, the reason there hasn't been, it's really difficult, having documented the making of a Superman movie, it's really difficult to come up with a story, a Superman story that you can tell.
Yeah.
Because Superman is so powerful. What kind of adversary do you give him in a movie? And then ultimately the characters, I mean, Superman is essentially a god. And it's not like Batman where you can go after a criminal. It's set in Gotham. It's in and around a city. What do you do with Superman? How do you make Superman both a human character and a god at the same time? And I think the reason they just haven't made another Superman movie is they, believe it or not, haven't had the kind of story they think works within a 2-hour or 2.5-hour cinematic framework. I really believe that's the reason there hasn't been one.
I think I don't know that I agree that that's the reason, but I agree that's part.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been a part of the difficulty of making Superman for a long time. I say, how do you make? What's the foil for the Superman?
And that's I think, I mean, it's not the only reason, of course.
Right.
But I do think
it plays into it for sure.
It's really, it's really difficult. Like, how do you come up with that? How do you do that? And, then you're going to be like,
Well, what if he goes to War World, and what if you bring in Mongol or Mr. Mixoplitic, whatever? You can't.
will audiences watch that? Will watch that if Henry Cavill's playing Superman? It's a tough one, man.
All right, next up, we got Alf 2024 writes, "Hey John, I said yesterday I found a GIF of Rob in a Discord server." That's right. I'm in. I think I can copy it into an email, post a link. Do you? I want you to see it. How can I send it to you? Oh, well, just so everybody knows, if you need to email me something, it's John, John, at thejohncampeashow.com. Just that simple. And I would love to see it. Alf, thank you for following up with that. I appreciate that, man, very much. All right. Mr. Cool Breeze just sends in a super chat badge to be supportive, as does Tammy Komar, also sends a super chat badge to be supportive. And this one was just a duplicate, so we've already done that. And guys, with that, woo, that'll do it for today's episode of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. Big special thanks to all you guys who sent in those super chats. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved here at the John Campea Show, thank you guys so very much for your support. I want to thank the guys in the room with me going around the circle. We got Robert Meyer Burnett. We got Ray Orr over here. Obviously, Aaron and Chris were both on set doing their acting gig sort of thing. So we'll see them again next week. And guys, that'll do it for now. Thanks a lot for being here. My name's John Campea. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.